It's time for Rounding the Bases with Dino and Barks, powered by Gino's Napa Auto Pro on 1460 CJOY.
Well, not going to brag, but 4-0 for me is pretty good to start the year.
You can't get much better than that, Bruce. I mean, we really rev it up when you're doing the PA, obviously, and undefeated. So hopefully they get you out there a few more times.
Now, it was a big week for Claudio Custodio and the strikeout king. And just the amount of feedback I've seen on social media about it, great job by him.
Well, couldn't be a better guy, too. I mean, he's a guy, like I said before, he's not just the best pitcher in the league, he's the best player in the league. He's hitting 400. He's 16 for 35 as a hitter. And he'd be near the top of the league hitting if he wasn't hurt earlier on with that hamstring issue. But he pitched through it. He continued to strike out 11 or 12 a game. So he's been unbelievable for us, but he's just such a good teammate, such a good person. And I couldn't be more proud and happy to have him with us.
He's not bad a left fielder either.
No, exactly. He's just an athlete. I mean, he played in the minor leagues as a position player. He came up here originally as a position player, and he was throwing 96, 97 miles an hour. So at that point, they said, "Hey, you're a pitcher," and that's what he went back to professional baseball with. But he can play, he can hit. But most importantly for us, and what I'm happy to see is that he can definitely pitch.
I'll take the loss in Hamilton on me because I said, can any team beat you guys? And especially one of the lower ones. He said, well, anytime, any day. But no, so I'll take the blame for that one.
Well, I'll tell you what, we kind of beat ourselves, to be honest with you. We didn't come out to play. We didn't have the same energy we had the night before. And, credit to Hamilton. They had lost 14 in a row going into that. We had completely dominated them a couple times. But they're a scrappy team. They've got some good young talent. They have Jose Fernandez, who's an outstanding pitcher, and Sam Turcotte pitched a great game that day. We made 2 errors in the 9th inning and set it up, and I think Andrew will make that same mistake again. He overthrew a cutter a little bit, left it up, and they hit a home run to walk it off on us. So credit to them. Like I said, they're a good scrappy little ball club, and they've gone through a lot, and so it was good to see them compete the way they did, but unfortunately it was against us.
Was Tuesday night's lineup against Barrie the closest you've had so far to a complete team this season?
Saturday was the first time that we've had a complete team, with the exception of Dario, who we're still waiting on. But yeah, Tuesday again, getting guys in there. The addition of Kyle DeGrace has been amazing. He hasn't had a bad at bat since he's got here. He's been hitting balls on the screws. Dalton has come back and really done a great job for us in the leadoff spot. Made some great contact. He just plays the game at a different level, and all through the lineup. I mean, I had a guy who's probably one of our best hitters of the year sitting on the bench on Tuesday night, and we still beat one of the best pitchers in the league. And Ethan Hammond, what he's done for us has just been remarkable. He's hitting 368 near the top of the league in hitting. And he and Justin Interessano, who's hitting over 300, were on the bench. So it just tells you what kind of depth we had.
Well, I was going to say, you got Interessano back, so you've got a bat off the bench.
Oh, exactly. Well, Interessano's going to be playing first base. I mean, he's a guy that you have to have in the lineup. He's a leader. He's a Guelph guy through and through. Now, the reason, obviously, we're trying to get Kyle DeGrace qualified, so we're trying to get him as many at-bats as we can possibly get, because he's definitely going to help us in the playoffs. So, Justin is just such a consummate team guy, and he's like, yeah, I'll sit, I'll split with Sean Riley, they split time with the lefty-righty, and that's not going to happen. Obviously, in the playoffs, they're both going to be in there, and our lineup's going to be really, really good.
I noticed something on Tuesday night, and it was when Dalton was at bat. The umpire has a different strike zone when Dalton's at bat. And I'm saying, like, maybe the umpires, I don't know any of them in the league, but they might say, hey, I get to ring up a former major leaguer, because the strike zone is different for Dalton Pompey.
No comment. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, you know what? Dalton stands off the plate a little bit. He's always done that. It gives him better plate coverage when he can stretch out and get his arms extended. So some of them may appear to be inside or outside.
Well, from the angle I've got in the press box. I'm right dead behind them. And I see it just a bit inside or just a bit outside, and they call it a strike.
Well, I know Dalton agrees with you 100%.
Thank you. Okay, good.
So, and pardon me.
I got your back, Dalton.
Pardon me for me to question any umpires.
No, I'll pay the fine. Don't worry.
Okay, all right.
No, but it's just something that came up the other night because, you have that angle in the press box of being right behind the plate and being up high. So you can see a corner or an inside pitch. Yeah. But he's definitely helped this team.
He definitely has. And he's just, like I said, he's a professional, but he's a great person. Like he's he's just a great guy to have in the community, a great guy on the team. And I'm happy to see things come together for him. It takes a little time. Bruce, here's a thing for me is that, he's in a no-win situation. He played in the major league, so a pitcher strikes him out, it's like winning the World Series, right? He hits a home run or steals a base, well, he should because he was a former major leaguer.
Yeah.
So you're in a no-win situation, and it takes a certain mentality, and every major leaguer that I've coached in this league has gone through it. So you have to look at it and say, well, you just have to play your game and be you and not get frustrated by what's happening, whether it's an umpire's call or whether it's a guy that decides he's going to make the best pitch of his life against you, and make that his moment. That's the thing. Dalton's just a guy who handles everything so classy and so well, and I think it reverberates through the clubhouse and in the dugout. Everybody picks up the same thing that he puts out.
Well, I had another one. His interaction with the fans here in Guelph. Little kids stick their hand out, get a hand slap or a high five. They're going back to their parents saying, "A Blue Jay touched me."
Absolutely, and I will tell you a quick story. In Hamilton, he hit a foul ball into the dugout of the Hamilton Cardinals. Hit a little boy in the shoulder. He went down. He was crying. He got up. And, Dalton gives me a bat that's got his name on it, and then goes afterwards to make sure after the game, after he gets showered up and leaves, he goes to make sure the boy's okay and takes pictures with them and talks to him about baseball. And yes, at home he signs every autograph. He's again one of the classiest guys I've ever been around. I think he's somebody that I'm so excited about having here, not only as a player but as a person.
Good ambassador for the Guelph Royals.
100%, and we have that top to bottom though. That's the one thing we handpicked everybody in this clubhouse, and every single guy. I love every single guy in our room, and every single guy contributes on and off the field, and it's just a classy person. So, hopefully we bring home a championship and we get to celebrate with all these guys because they all deserve it.
I'm going to try and extend my streak to 5 because I'm doing Tuesday night's game against Barrie again.
Can't wait, and then we're going to have to negotiate with CJOY and Magic to get you out here more often because you got something special. It's magical, Parks.
We'll see you Tuesday.
Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Good evening and welcome to Hastings Stadium. Scott Fraser with a very special guest, Patrick Melbourne, up in the booth this evening. Our Barrie Baycats insider to my immediate left. Patrick, thanks for making your way all the way to the Royal City. And a rematch of 7 days ago, a game that Guelph was able to pull out the win.
Yeah, because of that postponement, it hasn't really been that long since the Baycats were here. But this is my first time being here. It's nice to be here. Really nice park.
And another beautiful night for baseball here in Guelph. Sun shining ever so brightly up over left field as we get set to get underway here. And Bruce Barker in the midst of introducing the Guelph Royals lineup this evening. Jeffrey Nunez, who made the start for the Royals 7 days ago, gets the call yet again. He went 4 innings. Got the no decision, but was really, really strong in that game. And Adam Kahn, who came in late for the Baycats in the loss last Tuesday, will get the nod on the bump for the Baycats to start this one.
It'll be very interesting to see how deep Jeffrey Nunez goes into the game because he hasn't really gone with the big stamina so far deep into games. So we'll see if he gets lengthened out just a little bit more ahead of the playoffs. And then Adam Kahn, another guy who's come in as both a starter and a reliever. This will be his 4th appearance against Guelph this season. So he's seen these guys, but they've also seen him. So we'll see how that works out. It'll be an interesting pitching matchup on both sides.
Yeah, usually when you see a pitcher a few times over and over again, it's in favor of the opposing batter, but we'll see what Kahn can bring this evening. And Guelph, after that huge win against London on this field on Saturday night, are just a game and a half back of both the majors and the Jackfish. Meanwhile, Barrie, they've had an up and down season, but would love to take one away from Guelph on home field. Easier said than done. The Royals have by far and away the best home record in the Intercounty League.
I mean, you look at this home record for the Guelph Royals, 16-2. That's almost unbeatable so far this season. They've also had a better last few days than the Barrie Baycats. They're 2 Royals are 2-0 in August. The Baycats are 0-3, so they're looking for a win. These are two teams that can hit. The Guelph Royals have come in here. Almost everybody in the batting order is hitting above 300, and then the guys who aren't have done really well against the Baycats this season. Then you look at the Baycats batting order, and they've got some big bats as well. Ryan Rio back in after missing the last couple of games. So we'll see how both of them react to the opposing pitchers. I mean, it all goes back to the pitchers. Adam Kahn, fourth time against Guelph, but a couple of those times were relief appearances. We'll see how the Royals hitters can adjust to seeing him again. And then Jeffrey Nunez, the Baycats saw him, but not for very long. So it's almost like a brand new situation for some of these guys as well.
Yeah, and again, just 7 innings under the belt of Nunez. So really no insider info in that last game when he started. And now with seeing him just 7 days ago, perhaps some of those pitches and that delivery still remains in the back of the mind of the Baycats. And to touch on Rio, we were noticed last week about how he swings the bat and just really, if he makes contact, it's out of here. Unfortunately, wore the collar in that loss last Tuesday, but we will pause as we get set with the national anthem here before the game gets. So officially about ready to go here. Now, one thing of note, no Dalton Pompey, no Sean Riley, and no Kyle DeGrace in the starting lineup this evening. Noah Roberts, who did such a good job in DeGrace's absence in the early going of this season, has kind of been segregated down to the third string catcher, but will get the start tonight with Nunez. So it's the first time the two of them will be working together, and Claudio Custodio will bat seventh and play right field. So
yeah, a couple of notes about that. You look at Noah Roberts and what he has done against the Baycats this season. It feels like he just has his best games against Barrie. He's 5 for 11 against Barrie with a couple of homers. And it's not really surprising that they wanted to get him back in the lineup when he's done so well against this team. The rest of the lineup, though, it will be a little bit different for Guelph without Pompey, without Riley, and without DeGrace. Those are some big guys to not have in the batting order. J.D. Williams back up there in the top spot. Baycats have seen both those guys up in the leadoff spot, so they know how to pitch both of them. It's just whether J.D. Williams, in this instance, can overcome that and beat the pitcher.
And if he gets on base, Connor Morrow will be hitting right behind him. Morrow missed Saturday night's game. Just a maintenance day and a bit of rest for the Royal shortstop. And that's another big bat that comes back into the lineup to offset the absence of Riley, DeGrace, and Pompey this evening. So all those numbers really tend to go out the window, though, once the game gets underway. And Owen Jansen, who I believe every single trip to Guelph has been in the leadoff spot, will do just that yet again tonight. Juan Familia and Ryan Rio will round out the order that is due up here to start this ball game.
It's funny. He's been in the leadoff spot a couple of times in Guelph, but he's mostly been in the reverse leadoff spot down at the bottom of the order. No Noel McGarry-Doyle for Barrie today, so they're going with a bit of a different setup there against Jeffrey Nunez, the right-hander.
That is an absolutely good point. McGarry-Doyle absent from this lineup card, and without your leadoff man, your everyday leadoff man and center fielder,
you have to readjust.
And it just makes that task a little bit taller here for a Baycats team that traveled all the way from Barrie, and just 4 names on the bench roster for Barrie. So it's going to take all of them to really make this game a success here against Nunez and the Royals.
They'll be hoping that 1 or 2 pitchers can get them deep into this game, whether it's Adam Kahn on the mound, whether it's Evan Souls coming in at some point. They'll be hoping that that combination of names can get them into the 7th or 8th inning.
Yeah, and Frank Garces, who went deep into that game last Tuesday, but his pitch count wasn't all that high by the time he got the hook, and he did a really good job against the Royals' best lineup of the year. It was the first time that they really had their A-plus group all starting in one game, and Garces was fantastic. Unfortunately, couldn't get the win.
You remember as well, though, that he's just coming back to the IBL. That was only his 3rd start, I believe, since coming back. So they're bringing him back up to a bigger pitch count every time out. He's looked excellent in his return to the IBL.
And Jansen, as mentioned, will lead it off for the Barrie Bay Cats. And Nunez and Roberts will get to work. First pitch strike from Nunez as Jansen watches that one sail by and is quickly behind 0-1.
Jeffrey Nunez, 24-year-old righty from Bonao in the Dominican Republic. He's 6 foot tall out there on the mound. Through a couple of games this season, he's pitched in 2 team wins.
And makes quick work as per usual and is quickly ahead 0-2.
2.57 ERA, 7 innings pitched, as Scotty mentioned. 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, that's very good, 6 hits. He's gone 3 innings against Welland, 4 against Barrie. He struck out 5 in that Barrie appearance, but you do wonder if Guelph will want him to go deeper into today's game than that.
And that one misses. It's now 1-2. And yeah, Nunez does need to get a couple more innings and appearances under his belt to qualify for the postseason. So obviously a little bit of hard math for Dino Ramel to get Nunez in and make sure that he will be available for the postseason, because behind Claudio Custodio, Nunez could be their number 2.
And he's a guy that was a member of that Texas Rangers organization.
As that one's fouled off. Malik Collymore had a beat on it. So did Connor Morrow, but neither could come up with the baseball, and Jansen remains alive. Count remains 1-2.
Made it all the way up to AA. He's a really talented pitcher, and if he can go out there for 6-7 innings by the time he's completely back up to game day levels of work, that would be a really good thing for the Guelph Royals.
And that's the other thing, too, is Nunez obviously not a Canadian-born player, so it's not only settling into his new team, but a new city and a new community. So there's a lot going on for these pitchers that come up to the IBL and try to settle in and adjust to.
And all of that while you're working with sometimes multiple new catchers. I mean, you look at Guelph, and you've seen Kyle DeGrace, you've seen
Brendan Keys as
Brendan
well.
Keys. I was just about to confirm that I had the name right there. Seen Brendan Keys, and now tonight Noah Roberts. So you're not just adjusting to one new catcher sometimes, you're adjusting to multiple.
And it's just those little things that just pile up in terms of getting comfortable and settling in. And Nunez, after going ahead 0-2, has now run the count full.
Jeff Rose behind the plate is our home plate umpire today. He's got a good zone, usually very consistent back there. Sean Schaefer at first, Nick Leffler at third.
The payoff pitch pulled down the right field line and foul. Jansen making Nunez work to lead off this ball game.
One of the things that has really impressed just about everybody that's watched Owen Jansen this season is his emergence of power. Everybody knew he had the contact skills and the good defense, but he's really become a good power hitter this season.
And that was on display there, unfortunately, just a little ahead of that pitch and pulled it foul. And will look to straighten it out and find his way aboard here with the count full. Swung on, hit it high and deep to right field. Claudio Custodio makes the catch.
I'm amazed he went back to the fastball there. I thought he'd go off speed and try to mess with the timing.
Especially with how, yes, Jansen pulled it foul in the previous pitch, but got a lot of it. And right then and there, Nunez bailed out by maybe just a slight split second of mistiming from Jansen.
Let's take a look at the defense for the Guelph Royals. Left, right in the outfield, it'll be Ethan Hammond, J.D. Williams, and Claudio Custodio, who's also an outfielder as well as a pitcher. Third baseman Malik Collymore, very good over there. Shortstop Connor Morrow. Second baseman is Kyle Cush. At first base is Josh Garton. Behind the plate, Noah Roberts for Jeffrey Nunez.
So Guelph, obviously, with their heavy hitters in the lineup, unless, of course, Sean Riley, who couldn't make it this evening, and Nunez on the hill.
It's a credit to the Guelph Royals that they've looked this strong in batting orders without Sean Riley in it.
and it's contagious. And Josh Garton was a guy who started off ever so hot, and it's not every day a 260-pound man can play the middle of the infield. He is at first this evening, but can really hit the ball well. And Familia looks at strike number 3, and Jeff Rose punches him out. Ryan Rio.
Fooled him on a pitch that started on the inside part of the zone and kind of moved toward the middle at the last second. Good framing behind the plate and messed with the timing, get the strikeout.
And a good frame job can be the difference between a strikeout and a walk and winning and losing ball games. So Noah Roberts, the young catcher, settling in and making sure that his pitcher has every single opportunity to get those strikeouts. And right then and there, Nunez with another first pitch strike.
Well, you see the way he sets up behind the plate, and he almost puts one knee down, right? And that's a very modern catching technique that's taught to these catchers to try and steal strikes by framing. Because when you have that knee down, you're able to get a lot more stability, and your reflexes move a lot quicker. So you can grab the ball and instantly move it back in the strike zone and steal those strikes.
And everyone loves it except for home plate umpires, who now have to be just a little bit more sharp, as that one was not able to be framed by Roberts, and the count's now 1-2.
And we mentioned it all year, so I'll keep this quick, but all the players want of the home plate umpire is consistency.
And that swung on and missed by Rio, so 3 up, 3 down for Nunez and the Royals. We are off to the home half of the first. J.D. Williams, Connor Morrow, and Josh Garton due up.
Foul tip.
Hold the phone. We are not going anywhere just yet. Count remains 1-2 now. That one fouled off, and
I guess they called it a foul that he slightly got contact on that ball.
I would imagine that has to be the scenario here, as Rio stays alive and fouls yet another one off. That one directly off his own body, but still a chance to find his way aboard here. That one check swing, but couldn't pull it back in time. There's the strikeout we were all waiting for. Now we're done the top half of the first. We will take a quick break and come back with the bottom of inning number 1. No score halfway through the first inning. J.D. Williams will lead it off, and Adam Kahn on the hill. Josh Cote behind home plate for the Baycats. Williams again as Patrick mentioned, has been up and down the lineup, and as a leadoff man and with that foot speed could be very dangerous here this evening.
Excellent speed at the top of the order. Adam Kahn, first year in the IBL for the 20-year-old right-hander from Aurora, Ontario. He's 6'4" on the mound. 3-3 this season with the ERA just over 5. He's started 9 games. He's played in 14 total. So he's been a guy who can be in the bullpen or the rotation.
Kind of a Swiss Army knife on the hill, and that one popped to right field and doesn't have the juice to get out of the park. That is out number 1, recorded by Juan Familia.
Let's give you the full defense for the Barrie Bay Cats. Left to right in the outfield will be Brad McQuinn in left, Jake Wilson with excellent speed in center field, then Juan Familia, best arm of the 3 in right. Third baseman is Brendan Colley, excellent arm there. Carson Burns, the very good shortstop. Second baseman, Owen Jansen. First baseman is James Anderson. Behind the plate, Josh Cote for Adam Kahn. Now, I asked you this question as we were coming back from break. It looks from our angle like Josh Cote is wearing number 3, but I think that's just the padding because he's wearing number 5.
It would be not the first time I've been fooled or got a number right or wrong. Ask Neil Sriwasa that one as Morrow looks at strike number 1 here. And
because if I didn't have it in front of me, I would have said he was wearing 3 100%.
Absolutely, and Cote and Kahn going to work on Morrow, who looks at strike number 2. It's 0-2 now, and Kahn making quick work of the top of the order for the Royals after Williams flew out to right.
Kahn's best game of the season was in late June. He faced the London Majors.
A pretty good team to have your best outing
Yeah.
against, and that one misses. Morrow lays off, and it's 1-2.
Went 7 innings, gave up only 3 hits, 1 run, struck out 5.
That is a good stat line and one of those that might fly under the radar, but the London Majors and Cleveland Brownlee, obviously.
Yeah, Cleveland
Well,
Brownlee's pretty good.
Yeah, he went deep in this ballpark back on Saturday as Connor Morrow laces one and knocks the leather off it to left. That'll be in there for a base hit and goes all the way to the wall. Morrow to second on his feet. A good piece of hitting from the Royals shortstop to get himself into scoring position, and Josh Garton looking to drive him in.
Connor Morrow's done awfully well against the Baycats. That's his second double this season against Barrie.
And Morrow had his struggles in the early going of the season at the plate. Very, very just tough luck, really. Was making good contact, but just hitting the ball directly at opposing defenders, and now has found his way to find the gap, and he's hitting well over 300.
He's a guy that actually played for the Baycats a couple of seasons ago.
And if you ask anyone on this Royals roster, he is a resounding yes for the best overall player up and down the lineup, as Garton swings at one and misses and then has a chuckle with home plate umpire Jeff Rose.
I'm not sure he can claim best player against the Baycats this season, though, because that's Malik Collymore.
Malik Collymore, of course, going on that dozen-game hit streak that came to an end recently, and he's a streaky hitter, so...
Against the Baycats this year, Collymore is 10 for 21 with 9 runs, 10 RBI, a homer, and 3 doubles.
Easily have picked to be the best player against the Baycats
He
this
is
season.
the only player who has at least 1 hit in all 5 Royals Baycats games this season coming into today.
So, he's licking his chops, and he is due up next behind Garton here, and with Morrow in scoring position, Garton behind 0-2.
Garton's actually only played one of the matchups between these two teams this year.
And that one gets away from Cote, and Morrow advances 90 feet to third base.
Liam hopping in on our chat here, mentioning that the out-of-town scoreboard has been updated. London leads Brantford 1-0 in the bottom of the second.
And
So unless Liam's lying to us, London has a big lead early, or a small lead early.
And that's a game that the Majors have to win. They can't let games at this juncture of the season slip away against the league's lowest seeded team, the Brantford Red Sox. Garton lays off. It's 2-2 now.
I tell you, though, the teams at the top of the division better not take the teams at the bottom of the division lightly when it comes to playoff series, because anything can happen in a playoff series.
Absolutely, and those are the ones that slip away when you look past your opposition and kind of start thinking about who's next. But there is a task to take care of as Garton fouls that one off, I believe, the top of his foot.
Just got a piece of that, and that's why it went in such a funny direction. it kind of overpowered him up on the inside high part of the strike zone. And he was lucky to get a piece of it, but after it went off him, he might have wished that it just got by.
It's a tough way to keep yourself alive at the plate, Garton. A tough guy, though, so we'll shake it off and step back in. And with Morrow at third, Garton looking to find a hole here.
Of course, with 2 strikes, you'll take a little bit of pain.
Especially with Garton and his desire to hit the long ball, happy to wear one for another chance. The 2-2 coming. Garton swings, waves at it, and it's a strikeout and a tag out by Cote as Garton tried to take off for first, but Cote right on top of him and makes the tag for out number 2.
Did you see Cote's debut in Brantford a couple of weeks ago? So for fans who might be unaware, Josh Cote comes in for his first IBL game. I believe he walked in his first at-bat, so that wasn't an official at-bat. And then in his first 2 official at-bats in the IBL, he hit huge home runs.
That's
Welcome to the league.
Fantastic way to get acquainted with the league. And Colin Moore to the plate, as Patrick mentioned, has been real hot against these Baycats all season long, but looks at strike number 1. Hitting just shy of 500, if my math's correct, against the Baycats this season. And would like to get that to 11 for 22 and a clean 500 batting average.
Hitting 360 in general this season, so that's not quite 500.
Against Barrie, excuse me,
No,
10 for 21.
Right, and hitting 360 in general. So it's not quite 500. You said it right. I'm just saying he's not quite 500 on the season, but he'll take 360.
He brings his best against the Baycats, but now is a strike away from sitting down and leaving Connor Morrow stranded at third. Con delivers the 0-2, looked at and misses. It's now 1-2. That one just perhaps a little low or a little outside or maybe both.
Yeah, Malik Collymore is one of this league's most talented hitters. And the Guelph Royals very lucky to have him in the middle of their batting order.
He has been in the cleanup spot, which seems to be game in and game out, and has definitely performed when called upon. Cote can't hang on to it. That one gets behind him. Morrow slides into home. It's 1-0 Royals.
Just looked a little bit low, and Cote was not able to grab it. Went by him, opened the opportunity for Connor Morrow to score.
And that is 2 passed balls that end up costing the Baycats as Morrow advanced from second to third and then from third to home on each of them. Count is 2-2. Collymore chops one, foul.
So I have a question for you.
I hopefully have an answer.
When it comes to a hitter who is as good as Malik Collymore, are you someone who would put him in that cleanup spot to try and drive in the 3 potential runs, or are you someone who would go with a number 2 in the order, try to get him up a little bit more often?
I think that with the depth of the Royals' batting order, that one's high and foul. The catch made by a young fan out in foul territory.
There you go. Bring
But-
your glove, get a ball.
A near miss from the Baycats left fielder who, thankfully, Brad McGuinn noticed the young fan and hit the brakes before running through him. But Collymore did get a ton of that baseball. To answer your question, with the depth of the Royals lineup, I feel like with Collymore hitting fourth, there's so many other batters that you would maybe relay to with the 1, 2, 3 spots in
Well,
the
you talked
order.
about Connor Morrow, so if some people would consider him the best hitter, you could put him in the 2 spot, right, like they are today?
Absolutely, and with Riley and guys like Justin Interessano, who is the designated hitter this evening and just kind of finding his legs and getting his groove back, there is just a number of options that Dino Ramel can go with, and Collymore has settled right into that cleanup spot. The count full now. That one misses, and Collymore will take his free pass to first.
Missed his spot there.
Just a little high, and it could have gone either way. And fortunately for Collymore and the Royals, that is called ball 4. And Justin Interessano, as always, exchanging pleasantries with the home plate umpire and the opposing catcher before he makes his first plate appearance.
Sometimes when you miss out of the zone like that, it's intentional, trying to get the batter to chase, and sometimes you miss your spot. You can usually tell by where the catcher is setting up, and he missed his spot there.
Yeah, that wasn't a show me fastball kind of pitch. It was perhaps a early release point or overthrown, and the spot missed, and it was a called ball 4 as Interessano fouls one off. It's 0-1.
And Terrasano thinking fastball first pitch, and he got it just a little early.
And back on Saturday night, he hit one high and deep to the longest part of this ballpark that just didn't quite make it over the wall, but he's looking for one here, and he's hit the ball well. He's had some real long hits, but again, just a guy who is still kind of settling in. Remember, he didn't play in the last 2 or 3 seasons after the COVID canceled season, and the Royals obviously not participating last year as that one's fouled off, and Collymore was on the run yet again.
I imagine it was pretty strange for Royals fans to see all the players on different teams last year.
Absolutely. Sean Riley going to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and a number of other players finding a new home, at least for the time being. And
Baycats had Darius Barless for a time last season.
And I think it's even probably more strange that it's nice to have them all back, and the Royals are performing really well here at home, and it's just about consistency as that one's thrown over. Collymore back in time.
Baycats actually picked off a couple of runners within the last few days. They picked off Andy Leader in the first inning of Sunday's game, and Leader can run.
Absolutely. We saw that on display the last time Hamilton was in town, and
picking him off at first base is an accomplishment.
Absolutely it is, and that was Kahn trying to get Collymore to take off yet again as he threw over for a second consecutive time. Count remains 0-2, and Terrasano at the dish. Collymore with a generous lead at first now. And Terrasano waves at strike number 3, and that'll do it. Connor Morrow opens the score, and we are off to the second inning from Hastings Stadium. Back to Hastings Stadium. It is 1-0 for the Guelph Royals here in the top of the second inning. Patrick Melbourne joining us up in the booth this evening, and the Baycats insider has a wealth of knowledge here. And Patrick, what to make of James Anderson here in the cleanup spot?
Finds himself in the middle of clutch situations a lot.
And first pitch swinging over to Claudio Custodio down the right field line, out number 1.
And I'm going to save the rest of James Anderson's analysis for when he comes up next, because I don't want to run out early.
And he didn't give you very much time to elaborate there, as he was down very quickly after that first pitch pop up to right.
2 flyouts, both to Custodio so far.
And Claudio makes it look easy out there. And
he's such a talented player, because you look at the strikeout numbers and you know how good he is as a pitcher, but it kind of overshadows how good he is as a position player.
And a batter as well. and can really do it all. But the thing is, with Claudio playing, and he wants to play every day, whether he's on the mound or in the outfield, you have to just kind of be a little bit aware of how important he is, and you don't want to overplay him or put him in positions where he might end up having to miss some time, especially at
You
this
don't
point
want
in the
to
season.
get too eager, I guess, is what you're talking about, and I totally agree.
Well, and that's the thing is that if it's up to him, he's playing every day, but Dino Ramel has to kind of put
Yep.
the reins on him and make sure that he's deployed.
But he's also, again, a guy who's played for Barrie, so he definitely wants to get into these Barrie games.
That one's fouled off to stay alive.
Had an amazing 2017 season with Barrie. That was the season that actually got him back into the minor league baseball system and made it all the way up to AAA with the Baltimore Orioles.
So the IBL, not just a place where players go for their swan song, it's also a feeder league, and don't fool yourself. Major league teams are watching, and watching closely, especially with a guy like Claudio Custodio, who can really do it all and is far and away leading this league in strikeouts at 170. And it's
That's
August
just
the
insane.
9th.
Like, that's crazy.
Nunez deals, and it's fouled off yet again. That one just over the head of Noah Roberts off the bat.
I was writing down those strikeout leaderboards for my notes today. Baycat strikeout leaders at 72, that's Juan Benitez. Then 44, 42, 42, 26. Then you look at the Guelph ones, and it goes 40, 39, 24, 14 among pitchers that aren't Claudio Custodio. And then Custodio's at the top with 170. I mean, come on.
Far and away, and that's a lot of first pitch strikes, and batters obviously have a book on him, but have not been able to solve the Royals' ace very often.
You know what
this
I would love to
season.
see is a full season of Frank Garces and a full season of Claudio Custodio battling for that strikeout lead, because both those guys can strike batters out like that.
Absolutely, and Claudio named the player of the month for July, and
Well deserved.
absolutely, I don't think there was much of a debate on that one. The 2-2 coming, that one popped up by Wilson and out of play behind home plate.
Of course, broke the record on July 30th with a 12 strikeout performance. You were on the call for that one with Neil.
Absolutely.
157 at the time, all the way up to 170 now. 157 was the number that surpassed Ron Steed's record in 1965.
A long time ago.
57 years.
And the count's now full with Nunez and Wilson going at it. Wilson looks at one low for ball 4, and he is aboard with a one-out walk.
Wilson's got very good speed on the base paths. He's a guy that has really become more patient since moving into the middle of the batting order. Was a guy who swung at a lot of first pitches for a long time. So pitchers were starting to throw it outside the zone, trying to get him to chase, and it was working. Now he's moved to the middle of the order, and he's really become a completely different hitter.
And when it's 0-1, almost automatically it makes your life a lot harder at the plate and makes the opposing pitcher's life much easier. As Nunez checks on Wilson over at first. He was back in time.
Baycats 1-4 against the Guelph Royals this season. So the Royals 4-1 against the Baycats across the 5 games. Royals 2-0 at home. Baycats 1-2 at their home.
And Guelph's home record is one thing of note, but very mediocre away from home are the Royals. So that's really been the reason why they haven't run away at the top of the standings so far this season, was their play away from home.
It's a really good point.
Nunez gets Cote to swing at a second consecutive strike.
You look at that 16-2 record at home and you go, how are they not at the top of the standings? Well, they have not done very well on the road. 8-9 away from David E. Hastings Stadium.
It's a contrast of two really different teams when you think about it, when they're almost unbeatable at home and then sub 500 away from it, as Wilson back in time yet again.
So what would you put that down to? Is it a roster difference or is it just a mentality difference?
I think it's just there's something about this ballpark that really sits well with the Royals and their entire lineup. And I mean, obviously with the nature of this league, a lot of guys can't make road games as often as they would make home games. And it just seems to be, there's no real rhyme or reason for it. It's just, they've just had so much success at home, and really obviously getting quality starts from Claudio Custodio, who's going to start the vast majority of home games. That makes an automatic difference as well. And Nunez, making sure Jake Wilson knows that he's got an eye on him, throws over to first yet again. That has to be the 5th or 6th time.
And I mean, you look at the lineup that came down to Barrie on the road on July 17th, and that was their normal lineup, except for Dalton Pompey, right? So it was Williams, Morrow, Hammond, Collymore, Custodio. You get the idea. And then they won 14-3. So when they have their full lineup, they're very tough.
That one popped up. Roberts makes the catch. It's out number 2 into the catcher's glove.
Cote catching or popping it up into his counterpart's glove.
It's a good thing to see. There's been some real easy, lazy pop-ups that have been dropped here defensively by the Royals all season long. So you want to record those outs when they do come, maybe a little bit easier than they should. And Roberts was right on the spot there and record out number 2.
And catcher is one of the most important positions to have really strong defense at. It's not just the pitch framing, but it's also the ability to get out from behind the plate and make those plays and be on the same page as your pitcher. There's a lot to do right as a catcher.
And have the book on opposing hitters and what not to call and what to call. And then don't forget, they have to do it offensively too. Roberts batting 8th in the lineup tonight, so he will get the...
You know that Noah Roberts and Josh Cote were looking at the opposing hitters' stats and maybe some video over the last couple of days just to try and get a sense on what to call.
Absolutely, and Nunez obviously fresh to this league, so doesn't have a wealth of knowledge on opposing hitters, but did see this lineup 7 days ago. That one pulled hot and heavy down the first base line to even the count at 1-1.
And when you get someone who's been up in the Double-A, Single-A level of minor league baseball, they're not going to get intimidated. They're going to go out there and be confident in any situation, even if one little thing doesn't go right, like the Jake Wilson walk earlier in the inning. They're going to go out there and be confident no matter what. You see that with Custodio. You see that with Jake Harford. You see that with Frank Garces.
Short memories, right? So it doesn't even, whether it's a positive or a negative at bat for the opposing pitcher, it's about what the next pitch is going to be like. So very, very much a mental game for Nunez and all the elite starting pitchers in the IBL, and probably, I guess for that matter, all across all of baseball, as that one is strike number 2.
Burns laid on that fastball. Nunez in the inside part of the strike zone. Fooled him with the pitch mix.
See if he goes back to the well again, and he checks over at first. I think he's thrown just as many over to first as he has to home plate in this ball game. The 1-2 coming from Nunez. That one inside for a ball. And second base is taken by Jake Wilson. Connor Morrow couldn't come up with the ball. It was thrown a little low by Roberts to the Royals shortstop, but Wilson slid in there safely, face first, to steal second and put himself into scoring position. The count is now 2-2 with 2 gone here, so Burns will need to manufacture a base hit if he wants to tie this game with Wilson at second.
8th stolen base of the year for Jake Wilson.
And that was a big one, especially early in this ball game, to try to erase this Royals lead. That was
2 of those stolen bases have come against the Royals.
one on the ground to Garten. Can't come up with it, but Nunez covering at first to record out number 3. Wilson left stranded at second. It's 1-0 Royals halfway through 2. Back to Hastings Stadium for the bottom of the second inning. Ethan Hammond leading it off for the Royals. He'll be followed by Claudio Custodio and Noah Roberts. Kyle Cush rounds out the order for Guelph, who would love nothing more than to get his first plate appearance later on in this inning. It's 1-0 for Guelph into the bottom of the second, and it's been a pretty evenly played game so far. Barrie getting some base runners and threatening, but yet to bring one home to tie it. Hammond fouls off the first pitch he sees. It is 0-1.
The batting orders have been aggressive to this point in the game against both pitchers. Pitchers going inside the strike zone a lot, and the hitters are biting.
They're biting, they're obliging, and Hammond looked at that one and didn't like it, but it was a called strike number 2. Hammond, another pleasant surprise in this Royals lineup, and defensively out and left almost every day, but also with the bat.
He's been good.
Fantastic, and just another weapon to be used here as that one bounces around, and Ethan Hammond is aboard. That'll be scored in E3, so Hammond won't be credited with the hit, but I don't think that's at the forefront of his mind with Claudio Custodio coming to the plate.
So I was talking about this a little bit on the Sunday broadcast in Kitchener. How do you feel about criticizing the scoring sometimes when Neil's sitting right next to you and sometimes doing the scoring?
I feel very good about it sometimes. Claudio shows bunt, pulls it back, and that one misses.
I think that one probably could have gone either way. It took a tricky bounce, and it really was a tough play, but at the same time, it was directly to a fielder, so you could see why it would be scored in E3.
And then the panic throw over to Kahn, who was covering at first, was no good, but that is a foul ball. Claudio jumped all over that one and pulled it down the left field line. And
This guy's a pitcher, right? Just checking.
has a ton of power that's been on
Man.
display quite a few times so far this season, and that's a great point, is that
He is, at least in my book, and I don't get an official vote or anything, but he is the MVP leader right now by a lot.
there are some other arguments to be made for some other pitchers and some other batters, but no, I think Claudio Custodio,
He would get my vote as of right now.
absolutely, and I think he gets everyone's vote as of right now. So just to make it clear, he is likely going to get one or maybe two more starts depending on how the season unfolds and what happens over the next few games. But Custodio would love nothing more than to pad the stats for his at-bats at least and get that average up and drive in some runs.
Guelph's upcoming regular season schedule rather, consists of games against Toronto, Hamilton, London, Brantford, and Kitchener.
So a mishmash of opposing teams that are all over the standings, but Guelph seems to play their best games against teams that they're chasing, and that becomes very important come playoff time.
Well, that London game's going to be big. Just saw the London Guelph game not long ago.
Back on Saturday.
Yep, 7-3 Guelph win. Guelph's won 4 of their last 5 games, so they're coming into the final part of the regular season in the way that they want to.
Yeah, and they let one slip away in Hamilton a few Sundays ago, and
That was the walk-off from
Tristan
Osika, right?
Yes, absolutely it was, and spot on as Custodio swung at one, and now it's full, and he swings and misses, and that is a strike him out, throw him out. Ethan Hammond tagged out at second, and now there's 2 gone.
The catcher, number 22, Noah Roberts.
So what looked ever so promising for the Royals batters and lineup and all these fans quickly extinguished. Roberts pops up the first pitch he sees, and this might be an easy out number 3, and it is. So Guelph threatened, but then all of a sudden kind of shot themselves in the foot. We're through 2 innings. It's 1-0 Royals. Brendan Colley will get things underway here in the top of the third. After the Royals kind of sucked the wind out of their own sails after a leadoff error. Hammond reached base to get the inning going, and then it was a quick strike him out, throw him out. And then Noah Roberts popped up over to first base to end the bottom of the second quite quickly. As Nunez dealing strikes yet again, it's 0-1. Colley looks at one, and that is a called strike number 2.
Colley's a guy who's going to wait for strikes and wait for a pitch inside the strike zone that he's comfortable with. And he'll lay off pitches like that. He's a guy that, you know those hitters where you see the on-base average very, very different than the batting average? On-base percentage, 424, batting average 235. So he gets on base via the walk an awful lot, 12 walks this season, or 13.
Patience is a virtue, and the count's now 2-2 as he laid off that one that was well outside and off the plate. Swings and misses. Colley down on strikes for out number 1.
And when he strikes out, it often looks a lot like that where it's inside the strike zone and he's not chasing a pitch. So if you're going to get Colley, it has to be on a pitch like that.
A very good pitch, and a patient hitter and a patient batter, and Nunez was equal or greater to the task on that one. As Brad McGuinn, the 9-hitter, is now at the plate. That one misses.
McQuinn has really had a nice season for the Baycats. Started off a little bit slower than he wanted to, but has been very, very good lately.
And sometimes it just takes a couple good games back-to-back to get your timing down and your confidence back. And McGuinn laying off a second consecutive pitch, and it's 2-0.
Hitting .321 this season.
That one chopped to second. Cush over to Garton. There's 2 gone.
The second baseman, number 14, Owen Jansen.
Owen Jansen will make his second appearance at the plate now as we flip the order back over to the top.
So you talk about batters who have been in the leadoff spot and the reverse leadoff spot. We've seen that with Owen Jansen and J.D. Williams. What kind of mental differences do you think that would have on a hitter?
I think that if you're the 9-hitter and you know that the top of the order is coming up next, I think it's more of a patient approach at the plate and make sure that you don't give the opposition a free out and just try to find a way aboard. And as the leadoff man, almost
there's a bit more pressure.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is that you don't want to, no matter what, you don't want to.
You don't want to be that out, but you also want to get on base and have maybe an extra base hit.
Absolutely, and again, I think it's all about the player, and it varies from guy to guy. But right now, Jansen in the leadoff spot as Nunez paused mid windup.
Really playing with the timing.
And Jansen pokes one over to left field. Morrow called off Collymore, not quite sure why. Malik was underneath it. Morrow tried to make the play, but couldn't come down with the baseball. That would have been out number 3.
We're seeing that a lot in the IBL this season among the elite pitchers, where you see them start to play with the timing within the delivery. Sometimes they'll vary up the pace of how they're going through it, but sometimes they'll also change the pace of between the pitches. Sometimes a guy who's working very quickly will intentionally slow down quite a bit more in the next inning to try and throw off the hitters.
A bit of mind games, absolutely. And to that point, Nunez was making quick work 7 days ago against the Baycats, was really firing.
Now he's pitching a little bit slower, but he's also slowing down the delivery itself second time through the order. Even the first time was a little bit quicker than this.
And no big windup there, just a quick pitch, but it missed.
And you know what that can do is you talk about the advantage shifting between the first time through the order and the second time and the third time. It almost resets it a little bit back to the first time for the hitter, because it's almost like seeing a completely different pitcher out there.
Absolutely. It's versatile, and it doesn't really give the batter second or third time around any sort of...
But the thing is, that only goes the one way. The pitcher is still seeing these hitters for the second time.
Absolutely. And the pitchers, or the batters rather, are not the ones in command or not the one dictating the pace. So it definitely plays to the advantage of the pitcher as that one's fouled off. And will do it again. Jansen stays alive here. The count's 2-2, 2 gone. And after that foul ball that was unable to be hauled in by Connor Morrow, Jansen really making Nunez work for it now. Nunez gets the one he likes, delivers it, and comes inside and hits Owen Jansen, who will take a base. And the Baycats a second chance at life with a man at first now, and Juan Familia back to the plate.
Familia is another guy who started really hot for the Baycats, had a couple of home runs in his first few games, but has cooled off a little bit since then. They're moving him around the batting order just to give him different mindsets and seeing what clicks. He's such a talented hitter, but the last few games haven't gone quite the way he's wanted them to.
And it's amazing what that can do for a guy's confidence when they are going up and down the lineup. Some guys really just settle into
a certain spot.
Exactly.
And they start to prefer that certain spot. That's where analytics and traditional baseball start to disagree with each other a little bit, because there's a modern way of thinking with batting order: best player in the 2 spot, then best on base percentage in the 1 spot, and then your next best guys in the 3 and the 5, then the 4. Then there's the other perspective where this hitter does really well in the 3 spot, even though that's not necessarily the best spot for him
on paper.
So he goes in the 3 spot, does really, really well, and it's almost hard to take him out of there because he's doing so well. It's almost a mental thing, even though the more modern approach would be to put him in the 2 spot.
Absolutely, and I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And Familia swung at one there, and it's 0-2, and Nunez, yet again, 1 strike away. Jansen took off for second. A throw that was a little off the line from Roberts, but Kyle Cush was able to haul it in, but not before Jansen slid into second safely.
Baycats have now got 2 looks at Noah Roberts' arm, and he has not really impressed them. So I wonder if they'll be more and more aggressive.
And that's something that Noah Roberts is likely well aware of. And yeah, I don't think he's done anything to scare any base runners off from taking second base. But all for naught as Nunez gets Familia looking for out number 3. We're off to the bottom of the 3rd. Kyle Cush will lead it off before we flip over to the top of the order. Cush, Williams, and Morrow all due up after Jeffrey Nunez was able to avoid a bit of a catastrophe out there in the outfield and get out of the top of the 3rd unscathed and keep his team's 1-0 lead intact. Cush looks at ball number 1.
Big inning for Adam Conn out there on the mound. This is where it turns from kind of an opener type start to being a legit start.
And
Someone disagreed with that call.
one of the volunteer umpires up in the stands didn't like it, but the count is now even at 1-1. Kahn delivers. Cush swings and pops it up. Cote on his horse, but Colley underneath it makes the catch. Brendan Colley made no mistake and got right underneath that ball. There's a lot of time for him to get there. It was hit high, but nowhere good for Cush and the Royals, as that is a leadoff pop-up foul ball out. And J.D. Williams back to the plate for the second time tonight.
Brendan Colley's such a smart defender. And even with Josh Cote coming in, they were able to communicate and get that play finished. It's just the communication on those plays, getting on the same page as your fellow fielders.
And that was a long way for Cote to run, and Colley was there well in time. And again, Cote saw it and backed off and gave his third baseman space.
Smart of Cote, too.
It's 0-1 now. That one in the dirt to make it 1-1.
Baycats have used a few catchers this year. Their main catching duo is Tyler Plumpton and then James Anderson. Plumpton, primarily a catcher. Anderson, a guy you can play all over. He can play first, he can play the outfield. Playing first today.
And that one misses. They go down to, I thought they were going to appeal. They don't. It's 2-1.
Marcel Lacasse came in earlier in the season as a third baseman / catcher before going back to the Frontier League with another team.
A lot of guys in this league are asked to move around defensively more often than not, as Williams pokes one to center. That'll be in there for a one-out single from the Royals' leadoff man.
And then the Baycats have also used Dylan Shepard and Josh Cote back there. Shepard out with a broken hand right now, hopeful that he'll be back soon. And then Cote mostly playing lately. Nice hit there by J.D. Williams. We were just talking a little bit about how fortunate the Guelph Royals are to have J.D. Williams in the lineup for days where Pompey is not. Williams can just go back up to their top of the order from the reverse leadoff spot and be productive up there.
And fit right in. And Connor Moore was a guy who's batted second and ninth a lot this season and has really been unfazed about where he is batting in the lineup and has produced game in and game out.
I think I was talking to Ben Davey about this, where the 9th spot in a batting order has really changed meaning. It's not an insult anymore to hit down there. It's reverse leadoff.
Absolutely, and that's over the head of Owen Jansen at second, and Connor Morrow sliding into second base. J.D. Williams to third, and the Royals with two men in scoring position, and Josh Garton coming back to the plate.
Took a risk there, testing the arm of Juan Famil. Managed to get up there. Morrow showing his speed on the base paths. And now two base runners for the Royals with only one out.
That looked like it would be a tough sell to turn into a double, but Connor Morrow got there well in time. And first base open. Wonder what Con and Cote are thinking with Garton here.
We're thinking don't give up a home run, I think.
Exactly. So expect Con to kind of stay away from Garton and make him chase. Yeah, Exhibit A.
Did so there. Fastball down in the zone. Again, second straight at bat for Garton where he was thinking about that pitch coming up to the batter's box. But that time, just a little bit lower than he was thinking.
And in this scenario, all you need is a base hit.
And if you get that fastball working.
That one hauled in by Rio. That one in time as the first baseman for the Baycats, James Anderson, made a heck of a play, but J.D. Williams came in to score and double the Royals' lead.
Morrow up to third. So when you establish that fastball down in the zone, not only do you, as they get the run and get a nice round of applause for that, not only are you establishing the different parts of the strike zone and beating the hitter on that first pitch, but you're also opening the door to maybe getting the outside part of the strike zone open, getting him to chase on an outside pitch, or going down and in or down and away.
Yeah, if you can set up and kind of fool the batter and then make them chase or look at one, it's always a recipe for success. As Malik Collymore drops a knee and swings at strike number one.
How about that play by James Anderson?
A heck of a play. I thought for sure that was getting past him, and I think Garton did as well. But
Anderson can play outfield, first base, and catcher.
so yet another Swiss Army knife for the Baycats as it's 0-2. Collymore looked at one. He thought it was off the plate and inside, but a few fans also didn't agree with home plate umpire Rose's.
Jeff Rose has one of the most consistent strike zones. It's not always going to be the strike zone that you necessarily expect, but it's not going to change throughout the zone, throughout the day.
Collymore looks at a third pitch strike, and Guelph leaves yet another man stranded. Connor Morrow, 90 feet from homer through 3 innings. It's 2-0 Royals.
The designated hitter, number 27, Ryan Rio.
Welcome back to David E. Hastings Stadium, home of the Guelph Royals, as we play here in the top of the 4th inning. Patrick Melbourne here with you, Scotty Fraser as well. Neil Sriwastawa is the official scorer. Bruce Barker is the PA announcer. Ryan Rio stepping in for his second at-bat of the day. First pitch to him is a strike. Struck out swinging his first time up. It'll be Rio, then James Anderson, and Jake Wilson. Pitch to Rio is down low. Ryan Rio is the guy who's had some success against the Guelph Royals this season. Has a home run, 4 RBI. He's also struck out 5 times, though, as he pops that one to the left side. It's going to go into the crowd. Count now 0-2. Or excuse me, 1-2. Pitch from Nunez. Again, fouled off left side. That time it wasn't even a question of whether that would go foul or not. This is the 6th matchup between the Guelph Royals and the Barrie Baycats this season. It all started on May 26th, where the Baycats won the first one 4-3. But since then, the Royals have won 4 straight. Swung on and weakly hit foul. Noah Roberts will get it from behind the plate and give it back to the umpire. Royals won 15-3 on June 12th, 6-1 on June 21st, 14-3 on July 17th, and 4-2 on August 2nd. That one misses 2-2. And Scotty Fraser grounded to second by Rio. Has it? Throw out to first. One away. Scotty Fraser, it really has been, it hasn't been dominant all the time, but overall 4-1. The Royals have really had the Baycats number over the last 4 games.
Absolutely, yeah. It was just that first meeting of the season that Guelph faltered and Barrie was able to come up with the win. But since then, it's been all Royals in this season series. And aside from that one blowout win in Barrie, it's been some tightly contested games here. And looks like this one will be about the same as Nunez is ahead 0-1.
First pitch called strike to James Anderson. Pitch from Jeffrey Nunez, who's again working quickly. And that one's down low, 1-1. It's interesting watching Nunez shift the speed in which he's pitching. Because the first inning was quick, then it was slow. Anderson fouls that one high into the trees.
And that's 3 real quick ones from Nunez, to your point. Really seems to be speeding it back up. We'll see if that's kind of fast, slow in terms of innings as this game continues to wear on.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Kicks and throws. And that is strike 3. Anderson knew it. And that's the second out of the inning.
Jeffrey Nunez, a strikeout machine so far this evening. And with Claudio Custodio also on this roster, I'm sure he and Nunez are sharing some insights, and Nunez kind of adapting very quickly and well here for the Royals.
5th strikeout of the game so far for Jeffrey Nunez as the first pitch is in there to Jake Wilson. Wilson, a guy who has a lot of speed. He walked his first time up and stole second base.
Just 5 strikeouts for Nunez so far. I would have thought it was a couple more than that, but well on his way to getting his 6th as that one misses to even the count.
Nunez, a guy we mentioned, he hasn't gone that deep into games this year. He went 3 innings and 4 innings. He's now in the 4th inning, and he looks like he's going to be in here for a while. Lined right side foul.
Guelph, of course, had their game on Sunday postponed, so a well-rested group here on a Tuesday night after that big win against the London Majors on Saturday. So I think Nunez will try to go as far into this ball game as he can, but it's not as if the Royals bullpen is at all fatigued.
Count 1-2 to Jake Wilson. Righty pitcher to the lefty hitter, and that one is up high, and it's going to go back to the screen. They get a new baseball. Count 2-2.
Roberts could not haul that one in, but it was well high anyways. And
Wilson hitting .318 on the season. Hits that one to right center field. Moving over is Williams, also Custodio, but it's going to be Williams who makes the catch, and that'll end the inning. Nice hitting for Jeffrey Nunez on the mound. We'll take the break when we come back. More baseball here from David E. Hastings Stadium.
Off the 4th for your Royals, the designated hitter, number 24, Justin Interessano.
Justin Interessano will lead things off here for the Guelph Royals.
struck out swinging in his first at bat.
Hitting .304 coming into today. The big left-handed hitter has really been a key part of this Guelph Royals offense.
And a long time Guelph baseball man Interessano is, a Guelph Griffin and a Royal for life. His words, not mine. Said he can't imagine himself playing anywhere else ever, and would love to be a Royal for life. As the 31-year-old has moved on from being a catcher, an everyday catcher for the Griffins, to being a first base and designated hitter.
1-0's hit on the ground, right side and foul. And kind of had some velo behind it, but it was going foul before it got to the bag. Count now 1-1. And Interessano can hit.
Absolutely.
This whole lineup can hit. That's inside, 2-1.
And Interessano's had some bad luck this year. Started out the season on the disabled list and then finally came back in and then pulled up and hurt his quad as he was trying to leg out an infield single that was ultimately a tag out as he dropped to his backside and was in agonizing pain, but thankfully not nearly as severe as one would have feared based on the look of it. And now looking to continue to climb that batting average well above 300 as he sits at 304.
Cut on a missed, and the count is full at 3-2. And you look at the head-to-head, and Interessano has played a few games against the Baycats this season. Has 3 RBI, 2 for 8 total. Look at that full moon, by the way. I don't know if you can see it. We'll try it on the wide shot. You can. It's up there, and it's very visible.
It is.
Interessano walks, ball 4, and the Royals have a base runner.
Yeah, kudos to the architect of David E. Hastings Stadium because the backdrop here is fantastic and obviously it was designed to have that moon hang high in center field, and once the sun continues to set, you will really, really be able to see it as it's about 95% a full moon, I believe.
Yeah, it looks close enough.
We round up
You
around
can kind
here.
of see it behind the clouds coming into the ballpark, by the way, even during the daytime. Adam Kahn's second walk of the game, and that'll bring up Ethan Hammond. Takes a ball 1-0. Hammond reached on an error at first base and then was out on a strike him out, throw him out to the on-deck hitter, Claudio Custodio. Here's the 1-0. Foul back.
Yeah, Custodio, very energetic always seems to have a smile on his face, and he's just always moving around. And now they're in the on-deck circle, just kind of nodding to himself, and he's got some pep in his step, so probably really looking forward to getting back to the plate here with Interessano on and Hammond at the plate at the moment. Looks at ball 2.
Count now 2-1. Now, if I was in the dugout, I would be listening to the music and I'd be like dancing around a little bit to the songs that come on for the walk-up music. And you know what else I would do? Is that's foul back, 2-2. You know what else I would do is I would start critiquing other people's walk-up music.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd go up to my teammate and go, you know what? You have the worst walk-up music in the league. Let me pick it for you.
It would be Nickelback.
I like you. You're a good hitter, but I can't stand your walk-up music. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kicks and throws. Got him.
Swung on, and Hammond almost immediately regretted that when the bat left his shoulder. And it's a good pitch to sit down the Royals left fielder.
5th strikeout for Adam Kahn, as both these pitchers have been almost the same today.
Efficient.
The 2 runs, the difference. Royals scored 1 in the first. That was Connor Morrow, and then 1 in the third. Pitch from Kahn. That's outside. Custodio batting. Struck out his first time up. He's a guy that does not strike out very often, though. And if you're just joining us, we were talking a little bit earlier about how good he is at hitting in addition to his pitching skills.
And he really swings the bat hard, and it's almost scary when you see how he comes around with it, and he's caught himself in the back a few times on some strikes that he swung at, and it's things like that you just kind of hold your breath and hope that
Don't ruin your pitching arm.
exactly.
2-0. 2-1. Big cut and a miss from Custodio. Runner on first, one out here in the 4th inning. Glad to have you with us here on the Guelph Royals YouTube channel. Con ready on the mound. Righty-righty matchup. Kicks and comes home. That's hit to left field. That's going to get down for a base hit.
And Terrasano turns.
Terrasano up to second. Sorry to interrupt you. Custodio in there for his first hit of the day. And the Royals have 2 base runners here in the 4th inning.
Yeah, and Terrasano is kind of jogging to second, and had he picked up the pace a little bit sooner, he might have had a chance to third, but you never want to get overzealous and over-aggressive and be gunned down, and with the location of where that ball ended up, it was a short throw to third, so a good call by Terrasano just to hold at second. Roberts to the plate.
Baycats have good arms all across the outfield, especially in right field.
That'd be Juan Familia this evening.
First pitch fouled away.
Off the
this is Noah Roberts. Roberts, we mentioned it, does really well against Baycats pitching. He's 5 for 12 this season with a couple of big flies. Can't 0-1 here.
And will be taking off for school on August the 15th, so would like to finish his season here with the Royals strong.
Royals, I was reading Neil's piece on the Guelph Royals website. We're hoping to add another catcher. It looks like it's going to be mostly Brendan Keys and then maybe some Kyle DeGrace as we head into the playoff time.
And DeGrace, of course, who just made his debut, I believe, a week and a half ago, will need to get some more work under his belt to qualify. And
played that one game against Barrie last week. Here's the 0-2 from Kahn. Looks back at the runner, now comes home, and it's outside. Count now 1-2. You've got okay speed at second with Terrasano and good speed at first with Custodio.
Justin Terrasano would take that analysis all day long.
Count 1-2. Roberts, the lefty hitter, against the righty Adam Kahn. That's up and away, 2-2. Baycats wearing the navy blue tops with the gray pants, the road grays. This is their road uniform, and it has been for the last couple of seasons, ever since they started partnering with starting lineup uniforms and apparel. Guelph Royals in their home whites. Count 2-2. Here it comes from Kahn. Hit to right and well. That one's hooking, and it's going to get down for a base hit. Rounding first is Roberts. Rounding third is Terrasano. Terrasano gets under Josh Coates' glove. He's going to score. It's 3-0 Guelph.
And Claudio Custodio had to hold up because he was going to catch Juicy on the base path. And Terrasano, maybe not the most fundamental of slides, but it got the job done, and he dodged the tag. That throw came in hot. And it's 3-0 Guelph with one gone here and 2 men on. And Kyle Cush, the number 9 hitter, back to the plate.
Andrew White, the bench coach for the Baycats, out to the mound to talk to Adam Kahn. Kahn's a guy that can get you deep into games, but he's also a guy who's pitched out of the bullpen a lot lately. So you wonder how long they'll go with him out there on the hill. Evan Souls may pitch in this game. He's another guy a lot like Kahn, where he's been out of the bullpen, but he's also been in the rotation a little bit.
And
now I'm new here. Where are the bullpens?
The bullpens are at either the left field and the right field. So the Barrie bullpen looks very quiet over there right about now, down in right field. And then the Royals, a few men up and standing, but likely not going to start loosening up quite yet. A 3-0 lead, and with one gone and 2 men in scoring position, Kyle Cush has a real opportunity to blow the doors off this one.
Cush is 0 for 1. He popped up to Brendan Colley his last time up.
And that moon just seems to get brighter and brighter.
Look at our wide shot. First pitch to Cush is in there for a strike.
J.D. Williams.
Have some different camera angles to use today. We've got this side angle where you can see a bit of a different look at the strike zone, as that one's up and away from Adam Kahn. The count is 1-1.
And J.D. Williams loosening up and hoping that Kyle Cush can get aboard and give him a real chance. Williams, it would be his third appearance at the plate.
Then we can take it all the way down to the field right here with this angle. 1-1. On the ground to second. Owen Jansen's got it. Throws on to first, and he'll get the sure out for out number 2. Runners will stay at second and third.
Custodio kind of bluffed his way home and tried to delay Jansen's throw over, and as you mentioned, just elected to make the easy out for number 2, and now J.D. Williams will need to find a way to come up with a base hit. He did score the Royals' second run of this game, but with 2 men on, Guelph has had this real bad habit of leaving men aboard and stranded and leaving runs on the table, so Williams will look to cash in at least one of the 2 base runners here.
And this is the guy they'd like up right now. Their leadoff hitter, third time through the order. He singled and scored last time up. Dealing with 2 runners in scoring position here. First pitch to him is just upstairs, and it's 1-0.
Man, that one
It didn't miss by much.
could have gone either way, and Williams happy to take ball 1.
Royals kind of catch a break there a little bit. Royals have now scored 1 in every inning except the second. There's a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, and with a 3-0 lead now, it's no lead is safe in baseball, but with 2 men in scoring position, Claudio Custodio at...
It's a big moment. Because if you add those 2, then that's a big lead.
Absolutely.
Kahn trying to get out of a jam here with 2 out in the bottom of the 4th. The righty kicks and comes home. Big cut and a miss from Williams, and it's 1-2.
JD will
Now
stretch
taking a
it
second
out.
outside the batter's box, just refocus himself after that swing. Kind of took a little bit out of him. Connor Morrow's on deck. Kahn stares in for his sign. Williams into his batting stance with the bat over the shoulder. Kicks, throws. Inside, 2-2.
I think JD's in a bit of discomfort. That swing from 2 pitches ago kind of seemed to stretch him out a bit, and he's favoring that right oblique.
It's a good observation. He does not look 100%. He'll step back in, though. Maybe the matchup of the ball game here with the 2-2 count. Here it comes. On the ground. Left side. Colley's got it on a bounce. Nice throw to first. And they'll get out of the inning. But Guelph adds 1. It's 3-0 for the Guelph Royals. You're watching the Guelph Royals YouTube channel. Welcome back, top 5th here at David E. Hastings Stadium. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Guelph Royals YouTube channels. Alongside Scotty Fraser, Patrick Melbourne here with you. Josh Cote will lead things off for the Barrie Baycats. It'll be Cote, then Carson Burns, and Brendan Colley.
Nunez with 70 pitches already in this game, so getting a bit of endurance testing here.
And that one hits Cote, or it hit the bat. I think it hit the bat.
I think
they just caught a break because that was right at Cote's shoulder.
I think it hit the glove of Noah Roberts as Cote ducked under it, but that was a missed pitch by Nunez.
So is that. Down low, 2-0.
So again, a guy, Nunez, that hasn't had all that much of a heavy workload so far this season.
This is, if he completes this inning, this is the longest outing for Nunez this year. Can't have 3-0 to Josh Cote. And this is where that stranded runner situation becomes big, because if Nunez gets into a jam here, a couple of runners on, you get really close to that 3-0 score, whereas if they had scored, it would have been 5-0, and that's a little bit more secure.
Yeah, much easier breathing if it's 5-0 as opposed to 3-0. And Cote,
Line to third. Nice play by Collymore. Over to first. Got him! What a play!
Garton had to stretch out to haul that one in. Collymore from his belly made a good throw after taking one away from Cote, and that is a huge out number one, as there are a couple arms loosening up in the Royals bullpen. Forgot my binoculars at home, so can't quite make out the numbers, but one would assume Brandon Deans, would be one of those two. He is a middle relief guy and has really settled in as the 8th inning specialist for the Royals, and Nunez having some trouble locating the strike zone.
Deans is a guy that got a couple of saves earlier in the season before Case kind of took over that closer role. Count 2-0 to Carson Burns. Takes a cut there, and it's 2-1.
Yeah, so for all intents and purposes, you would think that this is Jeffrey Nunez's final inning this evening.
I think that's probably accurate. Right side, that is fair. Burns might have extra bases. He rounds first as Custodio fields it quickly. He's going to hold him at first base. Nice play by Custodio to keep it in front of him. It's a base hit for Carson Burns.
That one had eyes. Nothing Josh Garton could have done better to haul that one in, as it just walked the first base line and found its way past the Royals first baseman. But Claudio Custodio was ready and waiting for it, because everyone, I think, thought that would have been at least 2 bases for Carson Burns, but Custodio prevented that from coming to fruition.
We'll keep you up to date with what's happening at first base on your screen right now. Pitch upstairs from Jeffrey Nunez to Brendan Colley. Mentioned it, Colley's got an excellent eye at the plate. Burns has some speed at first, and they've tested Roberts' arm a little bit today. He's 0 for 2 in stealing, or trying to catch the runner stealing. There's a strike.
Yeah, and you would think if there was ever a time that you'd want a stolen base, it would be right about now.
Burns doesn't go. Nunez comes home. Another strike, and it's 1-2.
And Nunez, who did throw over to first base quite a few times in the earlier part of this ballgame, hasn't even peeked over at Burns at first.
Nunez has his sign. Catcher sets up away. That's where it is, and Colley swings through it. Big strikeout, 2 away.
Yeah, a real good response from the Royals starter after Burns was able to get aboard. And
I tell you, it's not easy to strike out Brendan Colley, and Nunez has now done it twice today. Here's Brad McQuinn. McQuinn playing left field today for the Baycats, a good fielder, and really has become a good contact hitter. And he'll talk about his power a little bit too, because he hit a home run on that game on Sunday. So if McQuinn can be a guy who can play every day and bring you power, contact, defense, they'll certainly take that. He's up to the top 5 in the leaderboard as they go over to first. Back in time is Burns. He's up at the top 5 in leaderboard for batting average with a 321 average. Swings and fouls that off. That one looked like it jammed him, kind of rattled the bat.
Yeah.
Maybe went foul off his leg.
A foot or leg, and it looks like it definitely hurt. So he'll take a breather and try to walk it off.
Count 1-1. McQuinn has had a bit of an injury that's been bugging him, but not enough to keep him out of the lineup. So hopefully that didn't re-aggravate anything. 2 out here in the top of the 5th. It is a 3-0 Guelph lead. Ready on the hill is Jeffrey Nunez trying to complete his longest start of the year. Second base over to first, and that'll end the inning. Nunez through 5. Guelph has a 3-0 lead. You're watching the Guelph Royals YouTube channel. Aiden Russell into the game for the Barrie Bay Cats. 14th game of the season. He's given up 12 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned. Struck out 13, walked 7. And he's 1-0 with a 1.92 ERA. And Scott Fraser, Aiden Russell leads the Barrie Bay Cats in ERA this season. He has been a very reliable reliever. And what's it like to have a guy that you can go to in any situation that keeps the ERA down for your team?
It's huge, and it makes the starting pitcher's job just a little bit less stressful. But Aiden Russell getting called upon, and perhaps the toughest part of this Royals lineup, he'll face Morrow, Garton, and Collymore.
Yeah, welcome to the game.
Exactly. So it just speaks about how relied upon he is by his coaches and teammates to come into this ballgame with a 3-0 deficit to try to keep the Royals off the board and give his team a chance to chip away at a lead that is not insurmountable quite yet. But Morrow, Garton, Collymore, and company will have a lot to say about that here in the bottom of the 5th.
Every inning feels kind of big right now. Pitch from Aiden Russell is up and away, ball 2. First one was down for ball 1. Morrow doubled in both of his at-bats so far. He's 2 for 2 with 2 doubles.
And was left stranded at third his last time out. So
he was, but he scored in the first inning. Hit to left field and way gone. No doubter for Connor Morrow.
An absolute no-doubter. You could hear it off the bat that it wasn't coming down in this ballpark, and much to the delight of the Hastings faithful.
Connor Morrow leads off the 5th inning with a massive home run, and the Guelph Royals take a 4-0 lead. Here's Josh Garton. He'll take an extra second.
And
Scotty, that was crushed.
absolutely it was, and he must have heard us because we were talking about how he was unable to come home his last time out and made sure it wasn't left in the hands of anyone else but himself with a leadoff no-doubter to add one more to the scoreboard. The Royals slightly more comfortable now, ahead 4-0.
It'll be Garton, then Collymore, and Interessano. Russell, who doesn't give up very many home runs, pitching in a bit of a new situation now. That is a strike.
And Garton swings at one that was a called strike anyways, I think just out of frustration.
Yeah, it was a late swing, but it was already by, so why not? 0-1. That's inside. I think Garton kind of is someone who crowds the plate a little bit from the left-hand batter's box, so that pitch looked a little more inside than I think maybe it was.
Yeah, exactly, and he does have that reaction when it comes inside to try to sell it as...
That's strike three.
That is strike three. There was actually the 1-2 count. He fouled off the first pitch he saw and then swung at the second one, and that is 3 strikes for Garton.
And crowding the plate a little bit is not a bad thing if it works for your strategy. You see it work at different levels. Guys have different comfort levels on where to stand in the batter's box.
Absolutely,
But
and
when
that
you
changes the approach of the opposing pitcher.
when you stand a little bit close, sometimes
One gone here
it
in the
goes
5th inning.
inside, and you get that kind of pitch where it's just off the plate, but it looks like it's way inside. Cat 0-1 after the first out to Garton. This is Malik Collymore. And now count is 0-2.
Good bounce back from Russell after that Morrow home run to get things started here in the 5th inning, and that is always a positive sign when a pitcher can get right back to work after giving up a leadoff home run.
Garton's 0 for 3 now, by the way. So he'll be looking to get on base a little bit more, with a little bit more focus in the next one than even normal. And he's a very good hitter. 0-2, got him.
Collymore
2 straight strikeouts for Aiden Russell.
Yeah, and Garton was a little bit overly aggressive in that last at bat, and it doesn't ever seem to work out the way you hope it would when you go to the plate with that approach. And Aiden Russell strikes out Collymore after striking out Garton, and now has 2 down here with Interessano to the plate.
So Russell, who's had a very good inning except for the leadoff home run, comes home. That's on the ground to the right side, but foul. Interessano walked and scored his last time up. He was the 3rd run to come in for Guelph. In that inning in the 4th, they had 2 more runners in scoring position, and they did not score.
And
Since then, they've scored 1.
It's just been an Achilles heel for the Royals this season. It's just leaving men stranded most of the time at third base, which is just things that make your hair fall out if you're on the coaching staff. And Interessano fouls one off, and it's 0-2. And Russell on the doorstep of 3 straight strikeouts.
Here it comes from Aiden Russell. Down and away. Tried to get him to chase at that pitch. A little too far down and away. They'll do it again, 1-2. You know, something that we haven't really mentioned yet is how perfect a night this is for baseball. It's not too cold. It's not too hot. It's not humid. No bugs. Up high. 2-2.
We have been spoiled here in Guelph with the weather on game night. Except for the home opener that was for naught after a windstorm took down some trees in the
I
outfield.
remember hearing about that. Popped up. Shallow center field. Everybody's going for it. Nobody catches it.
You
It's
got
a
it.
base hit.
You got it. You got it. You got it. No, I don't got it. And 4 Baycats there and unable to. None of them unable to kind of take the lead.
I can't even begin to tell you who was calling for that ball, which is a problem.
Yeah, it was kind of in no man's land, so.
A base hit for Justin Interessano, and that'll bring up Ethan Hammond. 4 guys were going for it. Owen Jansen was going for it. Carson Burns was going for it. Brad McQuinn was going for it. Jake Wilson was going for it. And none of them got it.
And then Interessano is aboard with 2 outs here, and Hammond, chance to add to the lead.
And Russell, maybe a little bit. I'd be frustrated if I was Aiden Russell there because you just got a weak pop-up fly ball, and you're still pitching right now. Count 0-1 to Ethan Hammond with 2 outs here in the 5th. The lefty, ready, looks at the runner at first, now comes home, and that's outside. Count now 1-1. Pitch from Russell, this time hit high and deep and fouled to the left side.
Hammond just a little late on that one, but tough matchup with the lefty on lefty for Hammond, with Russell able to kind of dictate the pace of this at-bat and kind of overpower Hammond on the inside part of the plate.
Here's the 1-2. Russell pauses, now comes home. Again, foul. Nice at-bat here.
Hammond doing whatever he can to stay alive and fight them off until he gets a pitch he likes.
And for anybody listening from the Barrie area, Ethan Hammond is a guy that has these at-bats an awful lot.
He gets it done any way he can, and again, has just been such a pleasant surprise for the Guelph Royals.
1-2 is low, 2-2. Claudio Custodio on deck, hoping for a chance here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Guelph has taken a 4-0 lead thanks to the home run by Connor Morrow. Now the lefty up high, and that's 3-2. So it was 1-2, and now Hammond has battled back to make it 3-2. Broken bat up the middle. It's stopped by Carson Burns, but he's not going to have a throw. It's a base hit for Ethan Hammond.
And a well-timed takeoff from Justin Interessano, because had he not left on time, he would have been thrown out easily at second, and this inning would be over. So a pop-up fly ball that couldn't be caught by any of the 4 outfielders for the Baycats gets Interessano aboard, and then a broken bat flare results in Claudio Custodio coming back to the plate with a real chance now to put that bat to use.
And of course, the fielders who were trying to go for that ball had to be mindful of that broken bat going up the middle, because the bat shattered into 3 different pieces, at least 3. So Burns and Jansen trying to manage that. That's hit up the middle into center field. That's a base hit. Runners at third and second decide to hold there as the ball was brought in pretty quickly. The bases will be loaded here in the bottom of the 5th thanks to another single. 3 straight hits now by the Guelph Royals.
Number 22, Noah Roberts.
And it's the little things that end up costing you, and for an inning that should have been coming to a close off the bat of Justin Interessano, results in a 2-out bases loaded opportunity for Noah Roberts.
Roberts, not the guy the Baycats have wanted to see in the season series. Russell on the mound. You know he'll want the best matchup, though, and this is maybe the best matchup of the inning. Lefty-lefty. First pitch swinging. Strike 1. And that's another thing. Since it's lefty-lefty, that would tend to benefit the pitcher, because it's the same side. Lefty hitters tend not to do as well against left-handed pitchers. Russell, the first lefty of the day for the Baycats after the righty Adam Kahn. Here's the 0-1. There's a strike, and it's 0-2. Crowd not in love with that call. They haven't loved Jeff Rose's strike zone all night.
been very vocal with their displeasure, but home plate umpire is a thankless job, and it's a tough one.
Up high. Count 1 and 2. Bases loaded, 2 out here in the bottom of the 5th inning here at David E. Hastings Stadium. And Terrasano at third, Hammond at second, Custodio at first. Good speed at second and first. Swing and a miss. Russell gets him down on strikes, and that'll end the inning. But Guelph adds one on the Connor Morrow home run. You're watching the Guelph Royals YouTube channel, where the Guelph Royals currently lead the Barrie Baycats 4-0. Back in a moment, right here on YouTube. Welcome back to David E. Hastings Stadium. Patrick Melbourne here with you. That was Bruce Barker's voice on PA. Scotty Fraser here as well.
And Evan Chenier into the game.
Our statistician today. Evan Chenier on the mound. And Evan has done a good job, Scotty, for the Royals this season.
Yeah, some rare appearances, but when called upon, has had some success. And with the top of the order due up, Guelph would love nothing more than a quick 1-2-3 inning.
Owen Jansen fouls that one back. And it's quickly 0-1. Chenier, in 6 innings pitched this year, has given up 2 runs on 4 hits, a couple of walks, but 5 strikeouts. So he's a guy that can go into the zone and get a K in a big situation. ERA of 3 right now. Righty kicks and throws. Up the middle. That's a base hit for Owen Jansen. Jansen took an 0-1 fastball up the middle and did not miss it. Leadoff base runner for the Baycats.
And that's what it's going to take here for Barrie to erase that 4-0 lead. And a good start here from the leadoff man for Barrie, and Juan Familia back to the plate for his first appearance against Chenier.
Number 22, The right fielder, Juan Familia.
So here's Familia. He has not had a great day at the plate. A couple of strikeouts looking. First pitch to him is away. And Chenye has either missed the zone or thrown it right in the middle so far.
So yeah, he'll need to settle in and try to paint those corners here if he wants to make quick work of the top of the order for the Baycats.
That one's down low. Count 2-0. You were talking in the open, and we got interrupted, but I wanted to bring it back to a point you had about Ryan Rio. And you were really impressed with the way he was hitting in our open. There's a strike, 2-1.
It was more so of just the power of his swing. He had a pretty tough night at the plate last Tuesday night, but it was one well-timed swing away from going deep, and unfortunately for him and the Baycats, unable to make contact on that night. And if he does get a hold of one, man, oh man, I would love to see the distance it can travel.
We saw that in Kitchener earlier this season as Familia swings through that one, 2-2. I was at Kitchener calling the game with Mark Perry, their play-by-play broadcaster, and it was in the middle innings, and Ryan Rio was up, and he demolished one to right field, and it was just fun to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those batters that might not happen all that often, but when it does, it goes a long way. And Rio on deck would represent the third run if Familia can get aboard, and could really, really change the complexion of this game.
Goes over again and nearly throws it away, so they need to be careful not to give Owen Jansen an extra base by throwing over there.
And Owen Jansen, fortunate that Josh Garton was able to dodge him on the way down, because that's a big man with a lot of weight coming down if he doesn't find a way to get out of the way.
Jansen's got good speed at first. He will steal a bag. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out here in the top of the 6th inning. Kixon comes home, and Familia strikes out on an inside pitch. Third strikeout of the day for Juan Familia, one away.
27, Ryan Rio.
And
So here's Rio. And you wonder if that well-timed swing could
is
be a
soon
threat
coming.
for the Baycats in this at-bat.
Well, as you mentioned, Chenye hasn't really been picking his spots all that well. It's either been well off the plate or right down Main Street. So with a guy that, like Rio, who will swing it quite a bit.
Although I'll change what I said a little bit based on new information, as Jansen was going on that pitch that was fouled back. So it's 0-1. Owen will have to go back to first base. That last pitch to Familia that moved inside and fooled him, that was a well-placed strike.
Absolutely. So maybe Chenye settling in, and Rio fouled off the first one he saw, and it went back into the parking lot with some heat to it. So maybe not the right direction, but again, a whole heap of power on it.
0-1. Gets away from the catcher. Jansen's going to advance at least one base. He's going to stay there. But I think he almost had a shot at third because Noah Roberts didn't get to that ball super quick.
Not whatsoever, but it does take the double play ball out of consideration now. And
It's a good point. Jansen, who is one of the speedier runners on the team, now standing at second base out of the traditional double play opportunity. Fouled back by Rio. Rio is not one of the faster runners on the team.
that one made a loud bang as it came off the grandstands.
The most power. He has 5 home runs this season, and he gets on base at a high rate, an on-base average over 360. Dealing with a runner in scoring position and a 1-2 count. Here it comes. Fouled away. We'll do it again. Do you bring your glove when you go to the ballpark?
Absolutely not. My hands are usually too full with food and drinks when I go to any ballpark, or sitting behind here with the netting. I'm nice and safe where I sit, so.
Inside, it's going to hit Rio on the foot, and that's Another base runner for the Barrie Baycats. Jansen will have to stay at second. And with only one out in the inning, the Baycats have 2 base runners. Here's James Anderson. He's 0 for 2, but I mentioned it in the first when you asked me to give that scouting report, and I gave it really quickly, and I kind of gave an incomplete one because it was a first pitch ground out. But James Anderson finds himself in the middle of so many big situations, and he always seems to do pretty well in them. Guelph will be hoping to avoid that moment here as the first pitch to Anderson's a strike 0-1.
Yeah, this is another big situation for Anderson with 2 men on and a 4-0 deficit to try to chip away at. And only 1 out, but falls behind quickly, 0-1.
First inning in this game where the Baycats have had more than 1 base runner. Looks back at second, now comes home, and it's hit to shallow center field. Moving in is J.D. Williams, but it's going to be the shortstop Connor Morrow to make the catch. Infield fly rule was applied, so he would have been out anyway.
Yeah, that ball didn't travel nearly as far as it seemed it was going to.
It looked off the bat like it was going to Williams, and I think Williams figured that out too. The infield fly rule was called as it was clear it was going to Morrow. So runners will stay.
With 2
So
gone.
after all of that, it's just a pop out to the shortstop for Anderson. There's a ball, 1-0. You can kind of see on our camera feed toward the left there, you can see if Owen Jansen's in the camera frame, it's not a big lead. If he's not, it's a big lead. That's down and in. Count 2-0. We'll give you a look as well at Ryan Rio's lead at first base after he was hit on the foot with a pitch.
I am a little baffled that they haven't tried to test Roberts here with Jansen at second to take third quite yet. Is that
Ground ball up the middle. That's going to get through for a base hit. Rounding third is Jansen. He'll score, and the Baycats are on the board. It's a base hit for Jake Wilson.
a 2-out RBI single that gets the Barrie Baycats on the board? And Josh Cote now represents the tying run with 2 men on.
A nice RBI hit for Jake Wilson. And the Baycats are on the board for the first time today. It's 4-1 for Guelph. Jansen, the runner that scored. Rio up to second. Wilson at first. And the Baycats still have runners at first and second. And Josh Cote's due. Again, Guelph hoping to avoid that scenario. After coming to the IBL and hitting homers in his first 2 at-bats, Cote hitting 118 coming into today and 0 for 2 today. They need to avoid his power from the Royals' perspective. From the Baycats' perspective, the next hit is not far away for Josh Cote.
Yeah, as you said, that average is plummeting ever so quickly, but Cote is just due at this point, and it's just a matter of time.
He's too good a hitter to not hit a home run at some point soon, whether it's in this game or not. Or just get on base a little bit more. There's a strike. Really nice pitch there from Evan Chenye. Count 1-2.
Cote conferring with Jeff Rose behind home plate, saying it was just on the outside low part of the plate, and he said absolutely. For strike number 2.
Now just a pitch away from getting out of the inning. Is this it? Yes, it is. Cote down on strikes. Chenye gets the strikeout, and after all that, the Baycats only get the 1 run. Guelph up by 3. It's 4-1 as we head to the bottom of the 6th. You're watching the Guelph Royals YouTube channel. Welcome back to David E. Hastings Stadium. Something a little bit unexpected happening. Aiden Russell coming in for a second inning of work, and this is a pitcher who, despite an amazing ERA this season, is mostly a one-inning pitcher, at least to this point. What's it like on the mound when you get a second inning in a situation like this where you're normally out there for one, but your manager has faith in you?
Faith in you and not many other guys to pick from. Just 14 players on the roster for the Baycats tonight, so it's likely something Russell's happy to do, but at the same time, it's out of necessity, and we'll see if the Royals can make him pay. And after that first inning of his evening, that kind of got away from him through no fault of his own. It was an extended first inning of work, and now he's going to have to face Kyle Cush, and then the top of the order due back up with J.D. Williams and Connor Morrow.
Yeah, he will be facing Morrow again, who hit a home run to lead off the fifth inning. So Kyle Cush, J.D. Williams, Connor Morrow. On a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult is that for a second inning of work?
It's a tall task, and we'll see if Russell's up to it here.
First pitch from the lefty. Well, we'll try again. 1-0. Gets all the way to the backstop. Believe Cush showed bunt on that pitch.
He absolutely did, and then pulled it back in time, but Cote couldn't haul the catch in, and it missed the strike zone. But that one
It doesn't.
evens it up.
Hope you're enjoying this game in the Guelph. Interacts with you, answer questions here from the broadcast booth. And if we don't know something, we'll ask Neil. Count 2 and 1. Got word that Kim Galanders is watching from Barrie. 2-1. Hit to right. That is well struck, and that's going to get down for a base hit. Could be extra bases. Cush rounding first, but it's going to be a long single as Familia has a good arm and he gets it in quickly. A leadoff single for Kyle Cush.
One of many long singles for both sides tonight is the outfielders for both the Royals and the Baycats have been on their horse when it's their time to be called upon and taking away some extra bases from both the Royals and the Baycats hitters. And J.D. Williams back to the plate, and Aiden Russell will have a short conference, and it looks like his evening has come to a close.
So I wonder if they just wanted to see what they could get out of Russell before Evan Souls came into the game, or if they wanted to give Evan Souls just a few more minutes to warm up. It will be Souls coming in. We'll take the break. When we come back, more action between the Guelph Royals and the Barrie Baycats. Guelph leading off the inning with a single. You're watching the Guelph Royals YouTube. Evan Souls into the game. Comes in mid-inning after the leadoff single by Kyle Cush. He'll face off against the top of the order, Williams, Morrow, and Garton. So the righty, this is a guy who can come in from multiple different roles. He's a guy who started games. He's also come in out of the pen. If you've heard that before, it's because we've said that about Adam Kahn. They've been very similar guys for the Baycats this season in very similar roles.
And
4-1 the score.
to your point earlier, perhaps Russell came back out for the lefty-lefty matchup, and now that it's a righty-righty and then lefty with Gartendu up following Morrow, who's on deck, perhaps it was just trying to get Russell through Cush, and Cush made them pay.
That's a really good point. The lefty-lefty. 1-0 the count. And that's up high. Count 2-0. So Alan Ross in our subscriber chat here on the Guelph Royals YouTube channel, big inter-county baseball league fan, been a presence at many ballparks, as that's a strike, 2-1. Mentions the possibility that it's Toronto and Barrie in the first round, and that seems like one of the more, it's not totally solid yet, but one of the more probable matchups in the playoffs where the Royals are still figuring out who their opponent's going to be. What do you think of a potential Toronto-Barrie matchup?
I think that it would favor a lot of the players and broadcasters alike, considering the travel would be less treacherous than, say, a first-round date with the London Majors.
2-2 the count.
Or the Welland Jackfish. It's just, you want the proximity of the matchup is the most favorable for both Barrie if that does indeed take place. So Guelph with Kitchener, not so far away. That's always a preferred matchup. And
so Guelph likely to face one of those teams, maybe Kitchener. What do you think of that matchup?
Guelph has played them extremely well this season and have really dominated the Panthers. And with home field advantage, it's going to be real tough for any team to come in here and beat Guelph.
Yeah, it's back. Thank you. As big swing and a miss right there. J.D. Williams down on strikes.
The shortstop, number 2, Connor Morrow.
Connor Morrow is going to look to repeat what he was able to do his last time up and pull one high to left field and out of here.
And you know what hitting a home run does? It gets you the loudest cheer of the night.
And it was as loud as it's been perhaps all season long when Morrow went yard.
It's a really nice crowd here.
Not bad for a Tuesday night. Again, well over 1,000 fans in attendance, and Guelph has really rewarded the Royals faithful with that 16-2 record here at home. So fun to come see your home team win and win often.
First 2 pitches, strikes to Connor Morrow. Morrow has 2 doubles and a homer. Came in today hitting very well against his former team, the Baycats. He played in Barrie in 2019.
And definitely was
up in the zone, throw on to second after the runner was stealing. It's going to be high. He's going to get there. Kyle Cush has himself a stolen base.
I was going to say Connor Morrow was perhaps the biggest offseason acquisition for the Royals, but I feel like Dalton Pompey takes that one with...
Well, you know, Claudio Custodio.
Exactly. I was going there next. So there was a lot of guys that came in here this season for their first go at it with the Royals as a member of this team, and a number of them have come as advertised.
Count 1-2 to Connor Morrow. Morrow playing shortstop tonight. Bat over the shoulder in his batting stance, right-handed batter's box. Souls, the righty pitcher, comes home and fouls it back to us. Count remains 1-2.
Kyle Cush, who's out at second, has really impressed this evening, and that lead-off hard-hit ball to right center field was kind of a statement, and that one gets away from Souls and Connor Morrow.
That one just slipped out of his hand.
Full squat to get his head out of danger.
Now, asking you about these batting orders for the Royals, you look at the ones with Dalton Pompey in them, and you know that they're aware of and utilize the reverse leadoff strategy with J.D. Williams in the 9 spot. So what does it mean for Kyle Cush giving him a chance in a pretty important spot in the batting order?
Oh, it's just he's a guy that kind of would hope to get going a little bit before he takes off for school, and getting those big opportunities, and his most previous at-bat was exactly that. It's something that it speaks volumes about just the versatility and the depth of this Royals lineup.
And even though he's going back to school, he's a guy that could come back and have an impact for the Royals in years to come.
Absolutely.
Up and away from Souls. The last one was fouled off, by the way. We're still in this count. It's been a while with 2 strikes. Now a third ball, and it's 3-2. Josh Garton is on deck.
And he's getting a full preview, thanks to Connor Morrow's long at bat here, of what he'll be facing with Souls next.
It's a good point. Getting used to the timing. Souls, when he's on, has an excellent pitch mix. He's got a really fast fastball and deceptive off-speed stuff. And you just know when he's on because he comes in and he strikes out everybody.
And Connor Morrow looking to avoid that fate here as the count, yet again, remains full.
Yeah, 3-2. Looks at the runner at second. That's Kyle Cush. He's got good speed. Now comes home. Down and away, ball 4.
That had to be into the double digits in terms of pitches thrown in that at bat, and Connor Morrow bided his time and patiently watched ball 4 in the dirt to get himself aboard for Josh Garton, who has had a tough night so far at the plate, but with 2 men on and 1 gone, Garton can reverse those fortunes quite quickly here.
Runners on first and second here with 1 away. We play in the 6th inning. Souls comes home, fouled straight back. Now, I've asked you whether you bring the glove, and you said no. So I shouldn't even ask if you've caught a ball. But have you caught a ball at a ballpark?
No, I have not.
See, that's why you bring the glove. You bring the glove, you'd have a different answer to that question.
Exactly. I guess that's true.
What's your favorite ballpark food?
That is a good. You know what?
I told you I'd bring out this question.
The Hastings hot dog is the best hot dog in all of baseball, and
Okay.
I have at least one a day. Keeps the doctor away.
Is that how that saying goes?
Something like that. Is
Hit up the middle. This one is going to be caught, so the runners who are off on the pitch will have to head back. It is caught in center field by Jake Wilson, 2 away.
Yeah, the double steal was on, and Garton, perhaps it was a hit and run, but just got under it a little bit and didn't have the power behind it to carry out of the park. And both Cush and Morrow had to retreat back to first and second, and now Malik Collymore, with 2 down, will look to get his first hit of the evening, I believe.
He's walked, but you're right. He's still looking for that first hit. He's struck out in both of his last at-bats. Throw over to first. Did they get him on the pickoff? They did.
That was a heck of a play by Josh Cote. And Connor Morrow was dead to rights, throwing out to bring the bottom of the 6th inning to a close.
An unbelievable play from behind the plate. Josh Cote throwing to first to pick off the runner, Connor Morrow. Heading to the 7th inning, you're watching the Guelph Royals YouTube channel. The Guelph Royals up 4-1 over the Barrie Baycats. We'll be back. Well, we've seen Emili Guerrero come in as both a starter and a reliever for the Guelph Royals. He is mostly a starter. Of his 13 games, he has started 9 of them, and he has been a very solid pitcher. He got off to a bit of a rough start, but the ERA down to 5.34, and he's had some really strong games, especially against the Barrie Baycats. He had one game against Barrie where he was just excellent. That was at Vintage Throne Stadium on Sunday, June 12th. He got the win in that game. It was a 15-3 Royals win.
Second base for your Guelph Royals, number 4, Darius Barless.
And the former Baycat Guerrero went 7 strong in that game. He didn't allow a run. He only struck out 2 and walked 2, but he was excellent anyway.
The shortstop, number 3, Carson Burns.
So we've got a whole lot of former Baycat talk for a moment, so bear with me for a minute if you're on the Royals side. It is all about the Royals, though, as Carson Burns steps in against Emili Guerrero. First pitch from Guerrero is chop foul left side. So the first thing I want to say is that Darius Barless is playing second base. Former Baycat, played there in the 2021 season when the Guelph Royals were not in the league for that year. And the second thing I want to tell you is what Emili Guerrero did for this Baycats organization. Fouled away again. 2016 IBL playoff MVP, 4 championships, 3-time All-Star.
That's it.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Emili Guerrero looking to give it back to Barrie now on the other side of it as a Royal. And as you mentioned, predominantly a starter, but called upon here to get some middle inning relief under his belt and record a few outs here before likely Andrew Case comes in to close things out in the 9th.
Count 0-1. That's grounded to first base. Nice play by Garton. He'll give it to Guerrero. He steps on the bag and makes the first out.
Scored a 3-1 putout, and Guerrero quickly off the mound and covering first base was able to get there in time to record the out.
Here's Brendan Colley. It'll be Colley and then Brad McQuinn.
Third baseman, number 17, Brendan Colley.
And this is about the time when the Baycats need to start manufacturing some more base runners.
Still the third time through the batting order for Royals pitching as Colley swings and misses at a pitch outside, and it's 0-1. Not often that you can fool Colley on a curveball, like that. Came in and just curved way outside when it looked like it would be well inside the strike zone. 0-1.
It's a great first pitch from Guerrero.
There it is again. This time he doesn't swing, but it's still a strike. 0-2. Colley has 13 walks this season, but has struck out twice tonight, swinging both times. Strike 3.
Goes down looking there, and that is just 3 real good pitches for Emili Guerrero to sit down Colley. And now McQuinn, the 9-hitter, with 2 gone, will look to find a way to solve Guerrero here.
2 quick outs from Emili Guerrero. What's it like to sit here, and you are here for every Guelph Royals home game, and you can see this rotation and the way that these guys are versatile in their different roles. Like Guerrero, who's a good starter, can also come out of the pen like this. It must be pretty cool to see this cool pitching night after night.
It's, again, we've been spoiled here at Hastings this summer with a whole ton of talent and a whole ton of wins, and it's for reasons like that you just alluded to that Guelph is able to seemingly win night in and night out here at Hastings.
That's low. And entering the playoffs, this Royals team, between Nunez, Guerrero, Custodio on the mound, and a very solid bullpen, that's a really good start to a series, having those guys.
It sure is, and then when you couple that with the depth of the batting lineup, it's a tough team to want to face, I guess, and it looks like they're going to have home field advantage for at least most of the playoffs, so that will come in handy.
Outside.
And who knows if there will be an upset or two in the quarterfinals, and then that would obviously change things. And again, with Guelph just a stone's throw out of first, a lot to be decided still here as we wind down the regular season. And
got him on strikes. Brad McQuinn goes down swinging. A very quick 1-2-3 inning for Emili Guerrero in the top of the 7th. Heading to the bottom of the 7th, still 4-1 for the Guelph Royals. You're watching the Royals YouTube channel. Welcome back, bottom of the 7th here at David E. Hastings Stadium. Tammy Bedford mentioning on our YouTube chat that there are at least 3 Baycats, former Baycats, currently playing for the Guelph Royals. You are absolutely right. It is actually more than that. If you count Santos Arias, who signed earlier this season and has not pitched for the Royals this season, it's actually 9 players on this roster that used to be Barrie Baycats. Now teammates, some of them again in Guelph, and it has been a very good season for the Guelph Royals. 0-1 is hit to right field. Moving over is everybody. It's going to be Jansen making the play on the run. Nice play, Owen Jansen, one away.
How about the foot speed from Owen Jansen on display for that one? Got there in a hurry and records the out. And Malik Collymore is on his way back to the dugout.
First pitch to Interessano. Comes in, is a strike, 0-1. That's even more of a strike, 0-2.
Swung and missed it at it, and Interessano a strike away from being the second quick out here in the bottom of the 7th, and Ethan Hammond loosening up will follow.
Souls with an excellent fastball. Throws it down low, 1-2.
Probably trying to see if Justin Interessano would chase that one, but he left the bat on his shoulder, and it's 1-2.
All right, I told you in the break that I was going to ask you a couple of tough questions, okay? You mentioned the hot dog as Interessano swings and misses.
It's 2-2 now.
2-2. Apologies. We got the count just a little bit mixed up. It is 2-2 now. You mentioned the hot dog is your favorite ballpark food. Is it a sandwich?
I would say no. I would
Okay.
say it's not a sandwich.
And are you a fan of the wave at the ballpark? 2-2.
Depends on the mood. Depends on the day.
Right now.
I think it's a little tough around here, but yeah, I mean, I like some good enthusiasm.
That one fouled away from Interessano. He has struck out, singled, and walked. He's reached third base twice and scored once. Here's the 2-2.
If I
Hit
had
off
to,
the end of the bat, left side, and foul. Just missed that one.
if I had to pick, I'd say the beach ball is more of my favorite, and
You like the beach ball? Do you have an MLB team?
the Toronto Blue Jays.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, it's
I feel like I've only seen the beach ball at Dodger Stadium.
interesting. Yeah, I think the Rogers Center staff is a little bit more uptight with those things. So
Well, sometimes it goes on the field, right? So 2-2 here. It comes from Evan Souls. Again, hit off the end of the bat. Again, left side. Again, foul, although that one wasn't nearly as high.
So after Interessano fell behind early in the count, done a good job to fight it off and live to swing another day here.
2 balls, 2 strikes here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Got him. Souls with the heat. Interessano down on strikes.
Shakes his head as he chased that one and swung quite hard, but he was almost out of his boots by the time the ball reached home plate. And Hammond, with 2 gone, will try to find a way aboard with Claudio Custodio.
And this type of roll is when, from the bullpen, a bit of a shorter relief roll is when Souls can really bring that velo. When he's starting, he kind of has to dial it back a little bit because he has to go longer into the game. Outside to Ethan Hammond. Hammond singled and reached to second his last time up. He also reached on an error in the second. Outside. Count 2-0. Now, you mentioned Ethan Hammond has been one of the nicest surprises for the Royals in a season that really they were projected to do well, but there were also a lot of unknowns. Swings and misses through that one, 2-1. What about Ethan Hammond makes him such a nice surprise?
I think that he's just kind of outperformed however high of the hopes that Dino Ramel had for him. He's exceeded those with his play so far this season defensively and at the plate. He's been great just in the middle of the order and done a great job of just making the work for the other 8 hitters in the lineup just a little bit easier. A lot of long at-bats. He's patient and he's also conservative, but he can show his pop and power every now and then. So just a guy who doesn't try to do too much, and it's worked out quite well for the Royals left fielders so far this season.
Count 3-1. Here it is. Again, hit foul. Same spot that Interessano was hitting a bunch of them. So compared to the Royals came in with high expectations because of Custodio and Pompey and the big names. Here's the 3-2. Up and away, ball 4. So a base runner for the Guelph Royals here in the 7th. How would you say this season has gone relative to those expectations? Has it been a successful first season back?
I would say absolutely. Can't really ask for much more other than that ungodly road record of 8-9. That's really the only.
And even that's not as bad as it could be. I mean, I don't want to call out other teams in the league for
Obvious
records
reasons.
that they're not particularly happy with, but some of the seasons have not gone to plan. So 8-9, it's not amazing, but it's not terrible either.
No, but I think when you can.
Runner going to second, throw is offline. It is going to force Owen Jansen away from the bag. It's a stolen base for Ethan Hammond.
Yeah, I just think that with the mediocrity of the road play of the Royals, that's kind of the only thing that
Is holding them back a little bit?
Yeah, it's probably the only thing that's kind of maybe keeping a few people up at night is what could be possible if they were able to reel off wins away from Hastings the way they have done at home this summer.
Down and away. Getting at 2-0. And you look at most teams in the league, and they do a little bit better at home generally. You look at the Baycats, they're 13-5 at home, 7-12 on the road. Those road trips, they do make things a little bit tougher. 2-0 is fouled back. 2-1.
And especially with the 42-game schedule, and obviously with
What have you
Rain-
thought of the 42-game schedule?
I think that it's been a busy summer for sure, but especially with rainouts and games being postponed, it makes for a lot of games in not so many days, and it can be taxing on just about everyone. So just the nature of this league is that
Up and way high as he lost his release point for that one. Second time a Baycats pitcher has done that. I think both were Souls, actually.
I think you're right with that. But yeah, as I was saying,
Sodio had to get out of the way, 3-1, excuse me. Left center field, way back there, and gone! No, it's off the wall, just missed it. Custodio with the double. Hammond will act like it's gone. He rounds third and comes home. It's a run for the Guelph Royals. He didn't miss that by much.
and that is the blessing and curse of that deep part of this ballpark, because
There are parks where that was gone.
it was the deepest part of Hastings Stadium at that 397 sign. And to be fair, I am quite happy that I'm not the only one to call a home run that wasn't a home run, because it's happened a number of times here
Well, you
this
kind
season.
of lose it in the lights a little bit.
Absolutely, and with that,
Ground ball up the middle. Nice play, Jansen on the run over to first, and that'll end the inning. But not before the Guelph Royals add another. Ethan Hammond scores. It's 5-1, and I'll have to talk to my colleagues back here about how I called a home run that didn't happen. You're watching the Guelph Royals YouTube. Owen Jansen will bat against the new pitcher, Brandon Deans. And Deans talking to members around Guelph has really settled into a nice setup role.
He has found a home in the 8th inning, and with Andrew Case behind him, it's pretty much lights out when Deans comes into the game, especially with the 4-run lead here. We'll see if Deans gets more than one inning of work tonight.
Deans has a 2.39 ERA, of course, no longer a save situation like it was entering last inning.
And we'll see if that changes the game plan for the Royals. And
oh man, I'm full of questions for you about your strategy. I want to learn your baseball mindset. So when it comes to a closer, are you pro traditional closer where it's 9th inning no matter what, or are you okay with bringing him out of the 9th inning for a big spot?
I think it would be definitely, it's fluid, right? So it all depends on what the scenario is and what time of season and how the certain pitcher is operating and performing and how much work they've had of late. So I think you need to be able to be versatile and come into a game when called upon. So I would go with the latter and say that just do whatever needs to be done to get the win and try not to stick to your guns too much.
It means so much to a team to have a strong end of the bullpen. I mean, you think of, as that one goes back to the backstop, even at 2-2, you think of teams like the Chicago Cubs in 2016 or Cleveland that year where they had multiple back inning relievers, and then you compare that to the Guelph team this season with Case in the 9th and Deans here.
Yeah, Case.
Strong bullpens win playoff series.
Exactly, and Case joined this team just a few weeks ago and has been everything that anyone could hope for and then some, but it really changed the dynamic of this Royals pitching staff when Case arrived because they were kind of looking for their closer, and they found him with Andrew Case being one of the newest members of this ball team. And the evolution of Brandon Deans coming in and becoming an 8th inning guy has just added to that success. And it makes, for when playoff time does finally arrive, it makes for a lot less work for certain guys if you have multiple arms in the bullpen that can get it done.
Fouled back to the screen. Remains 3-2.
And as you mentioned, with the postseason and winning playoff series, when you're facing a team multiple times in a week and up to 7 games in that time, it would be nice to throw some different looks out there in the latter innings and try to get some easy outs.
That is a perfect strike to strike out Owen Jansen for the first out of the inning. I mean, placed perfectly, and Jansen was hoping to get the call, but was not surprised that it was strike 3, 1 away.
And the confidence of Brandon Deans continues to climb.
When your confidence raises in the bullpen,
good things
it's
happen.
Such a powerful thing because you come in high confidence, and then it doesn't take any time to get up to 100% out of the pen.
And another great first pitch strike from Deans, and not for nothing too. Andrew Case has a ton of experience under his belt, so when the relievers are sitting in the bullpen with a guy like Case, it gives them the opportunity to really learn and absorb from what he knows and what he can share with some of these younger pitchers, just like Brandon Deans.
0-2 to Juan Familia, who has really had a tough night at the plate. He is 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts and a strike away from maybe another K here at least. That's what Deans is hoping. Does he get it? Fouled back. Count remains 0-2. That's away. I've never heard that song in my life. after that's
Juan Familia goes down on strikes. Ryan Rio back to the plate, 2 gone, and Brandon Deans is throwing smoke right about now.
my phone just started playing a song I've never heard before. Just letting everybody know that. So I apologize for that. I was very focused on that while Familia was retired. First pitch to Rio is up high, 1-0. How does that happen? Where like I would get it if it's a song I've heard, or if it's the song I've heard recently, but I've never heard that. Couldn't even tell you the name. It wasn't bad.
I liked it.
It wasn't good.
Well, since it's been paused, Brandon Deans hasn't found the strike zone, so.
Count 2-0, that's fouled away. Can't have 2-1.
And this game's kind of slowed right down here, and Rio will look to try to find a way to bring some life back into at least the Baycat side of it as he looks at one away.
Yeah, down and away, 3-1. And after being a strike away, Rio hits it to right field. That one is back at the wall, and it's off the wall. Rio might have extra bases. Throw comes in. It is a double for Ryan Rio.
And that one looked like it was out of here, but again, much like the Claudio Custodio hit, just to the deep part of the outfield that is unforgiving for certain hitters, and Rio will stop at second, and James Anderson will look to bring him home.
I didn't call a home run that time.
I noticed the hesitation, and you waited, and once bitten, twice shy, and I know that feeling, my friend, so.
Rio takes the lead off second. Here it comes. And that gets away from
Noah Roberts has had some trouble this season with closing his glove on the ball, and Rio wasn't thinking about taking off for third there, but it didn't get all that far behind Roberts.
We're not that far away from it being a save situation. If one run scores, it becomes one. James Anderson, he's 0 for 3. 1-0. Andrew Case getting warm in the bullpen.
So one would assume that he is due up next for the 9th inning, but we'll see if Deans can get out of this one pretty efficiently, and maybe that will change.
1 ball, 1 strike. Fouled away. Good battle here. See, I make the mistake with the home run call, and then I get a little bit rattled, because I had a thought that Deans was a strike away from ending the inning, but he wasn't. He was a strike away from striking out Familia.
Yeah, it's an easy thing to kind of get caught up in, and nonetheless, now he's a strike away.
Up high. I just figured, normally I would let that go and, forget about it, but it was such an out-of-nowhere thought that I said out loud that I felt like I had to conclude it and just admit that that wasn't even a thing. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ground ball to second. Over to first. Didn't pick it up cleanly, but he made the play, and that retires the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error. We'll head to the bottom of the 8th. Evan Souls throws his final warm-up toss, and we're about ready to go for the bottom of the 8th inning. Alongside Scotty Frazier, I'm Patrick Melbourne. Darius Barless, who was a Baycat during last season, up to bat for the Royals for the first time in this game.
After coming in relief of Kyle Cush, who got aboard in his last at bat before Barless came in as a defensive substitution in the top of the 8th inning.
And if there's one thing Darius Barless is known for, it's his excellent defense. He is a guy who doesn't have a ton of pop in the bat, but he is a very strong defender.
And to that point, after Josh Garton had to miss some time and Justin Interessano went down, Barless moved from the left side of the infield over to first, and his confidence, as we've alluded to and mentioned so many times already in this broadcast, what it can do for you. He started making a lot more contact at the plate after being an everyday first baseman and filled in without missing a beat.
I was talking about the confidence from Owen Jansen once he became an everyday second baseman, started getting hot, showed some power, and then it just went up and up and up. And we've seen that, I guess, from some of the Royals, too.
Absolutely.
First pitch to J.D. Williams is down. Ball 1. Williams has only reached base once today, but he's had good at-bats.
Scored a run as well.
That was in the 3rd inning. Now 2-0. Now this kind of "We Will Rock You" thing in the crowd where everybody does the beat to it. It's kind of cool.
It is, and it makes it sound extremely full, and it's a loud stadium, and Hastings was maybe built for something like this, and we'll see if it can give Williams, who's ahead 3-0, a little good luck.
To J.D. Williams coming from Evan Souls. Here it is, and that's way up and in. He loses Williams, and it's a one-out base runner for the Guelph Royals.
Number 2, Connor Morrow.
Yeah, 4-pitch walk, and that was perhaps I don't know how to word this without sounding wrong, but the toughest at-bat that Souls has had to face tonight, and it was a quick one with 4 straight balls to get J.D. Williams aboard and Connor Morrow to the plate.
Didn't look like he had his top stuff during that matchup, which, by itself would be one thing, but also after we've seen the strikeout stuff in this outing, the fact that he was missing with command was a little bit more obvious.
Yes, absolutely. Well said. That is exactly what I was trying to say. Just couldn't find the words there that time. And Connor Morrow's behind 0-1.
And now it's 1-1 on a pitch that didn't miss by much. Souls needs to work and reestablish the strike zone. Here it comes. Is that the same song again? What is my phone doing? It's a different one. All right, it's going on Do Not Disturb, volume off, all of it. It's all going off. It's all like really old music apparently, which is something. That's interesting. Walking you through the process of turning it off. It's all completely off, won't happen again. 2-1. Hits a right, Juan Familia moving over, he's under it. And he makes the play, 2 away.
And Morrow just a little bit late on that one and slapped it to Familia, who was able to keep his eye on it. He looked like he might have lost it in the lights, but able to get back underneath it and make the catch for out number 2.
So here's Josh Garton. Old Town Road with the walk-up music. Souls ready on the hill, has a runner on first. And a big cut and a miss from Garton, who's 0 for 4 today. J.D. Williams, the runner on first, who's normally a very strong runner, but we noticed in an earlier at-bat that he maybe was not 100% after a big swing. So he might not be at his full speed on the base paths.
Exactly right. It seems that it's taking its toll on the Royals center fielder this evening.
Quickly 0-2 after the foul ball.
And You did touch on it before, but with the absence of Dalton Pompey and then J.D. Williams slotting in as the leadoff man, he also slides over to center field from his normal position in right. So it gives Guelph that second kind of option.
It allows them maybe to put a power hitter in right field.
Claudio Custodio.
Yep. No, we saw his power earlier. That's a ball, by the way, 1-2. And Williams is a guy who, with his speed, is able to cover center field as well as he does in right, which isn't always, as he gets the strikeout. Throwing away the bat is Josh Garton. He's had a very frustrating day at the plate, and that'll end the inning. We'll finish the thought when we come back. 5-1 Guelph as we head to the 9th inning. You're watching the Guelph Royals YouTube channel.
Now pitching for the Royals, number 61, Andrew.
I would imagine. Figure out.
Final warm-up toss.
Leading off for the Baycats, the center fielder, number 15, Jake Wilson.
Andrew Case into the game as expected, and we'll look to close it out fairly quickly here.
He's a guy with a couple of saves recently. Early in the year, Brandon Deans was kind of the guy closing games, but really it has become Andrew Case's job to close games for the Guelph Royals.
Absolutely, and it's worked out pretty well so far, and Case quickly ahead 0-1.
He'll face off against Jake Wilson, Josh Cote, and Carson Burns here in the 9th. 0-1 the count to Wilson. Wilson's a guy who's been in the leadoff spot in the order a lot this season and all of last season. Here's the 0-1. That's outside. So he's used to leading off innings.
And we'll try to get aboard here as Noah Roberts has had some tough bounces behind home plate so far in this inning, and whoa, that one made me flinch as it came straight back, and Wilson is behind 1-2 now.
Case delivering heat. Do you see the velo on that one?
I sure did, and it came right back into our kitchen after Wilson fouled it straight back.
1-2. Got him. Gets away from the catcher. Wilson can run. This will be a race. Wilson's going to be way safe at first. So he strikes out, but he reaches on first after the drop third strike.
So Roberts and Case will have a small conference here to try to get their wires uncrossed, and Wilson aboard after yet another ball
unable to be hauled in by Noah Roberts. And
Officially a passed ball.
I think that's the right call for sure, as it was tipped
I don't
off
think
the
he
glove.
ever touched it, really. Or at least got a full hold of it. So I agree. Right call. Here's Josh Cote, the other catcher in this game. Runner on first is Jake Wilson. He's got excellent speed. Second best speed on the team behind Noel McGarry-Doyle, who's not playing tonight. First pitch from Case to Cote is grounded left side and foul. We remind you that it is interactive here on the Guelph Royals YouTube channel. If you're a subscriber and have been for a little while, you can give us questions in the chat on the right. 0-1. Cote pops it up. Case points at it. He calls for it. He's under it, and it drops! He misjudged it. They get it to second, and Wilson's out!
Josh Garton,
Garten
Johnny on the
saved
spot.
him.
Garton ran over, and I'm not quite sure how Andrew Case misplayed that so poorly, but nonetheless, Garton, it's been a tough night at the plate for the Royals first baseman, but that gives him something to smile about as he gets Wilson at second for the first out of the 9th inning.
He was calling for it all the way, but just misjudged where it would land. Garten behind him kind of saved him because as it dropped, he was able to get it and toss it to second and get the very speedy Jake Wilson. First pitch of ball.
Wilson was
Burns.
sorry about that. Wilson was holding up obviously because he thought Case was going to make the catch.
Right, and he'd have to go back to first.
Exactly. So all things considered, Wilson did a good job of jumping
Making
on his
it that
horse.
close.
Yes, exactly.
1-0. Fouled back. Count now 1-1. Burns singled in the 5th. He's grounded out twice. The bottom of the order is 1 for 9 for the Baycats. The bottom 3, Burns, Colley, and McQuinn.
That will not result in very many wins.
And it's usually a bottom of the order for the Baycats. That one's low. That's so strong. I mean, when you have Tyler Plumpton and Owen Jansen down there, usually it's a lineup that is lengthened so much by having those guys. But Jansen, top of the order today, no Plumpton.
It changes a lot of things, and especially when
Sure does.
the Royals have been consistently getting base hits and getting runners aboard.
2-1 is fouled back again, now even at 2-2.
You really need all 9 hitters to come into Hastings Stadium to win one here, and that has not been the case for the Baycats lineup so far in this game. And with 2 outs remaining here in the top of the 9th, they're going to need to get it going right about now.
2-2, Carson Burns. Strikeout. Strikes out, I should say. Carson Burns strikes out. And there's 2 away.
The third baseman, number 17, Brendan Colley.
Brendan Colley, the last hope for the Baycats here, who will need some sort of miracle.
I was going to say strike 3, and then I was going to say strikes out, and it came out strike out, which is technically accurate, but a little bit odd. 2 outs here in the top of the 9th inning. Runner on first. Here's Brendan Colley. He's struck out 3 times tonight. Big cut and a miss there. The velo coming back from Andrew Case. 0-1.
That's a great first pitch from Case, and do that 2 more times and you'll get out of here with a win.
Case, the strong closer for this Royals team. Kicks and throws. Strike 2 as the helmet falls off.
This appears to be toying with Brendan Colley now, and we'll see what he does here with.
Colley is 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. 0-2. Baycats down to their final strike. Up high. Colley's got a great eye. Was not going to get fooled by that one, and it's 1-2.
And perhaps Case hoping that home plate umpire Jeff Rose is going to give him the favorable call there, but to no avail.
Fans rallying behind Andrew Case. Here's the 1-2. Kicks and throws. Strike three, gets away from the catcher. Throw on to first, and the Royals win it.
Noah Roberts unable to hold on to it, but makes up for it. Guns one down, and Garton records the third out, and that is a bit of a silver lining for the Royals first baseman in the ninth inning, who was a big part of a lot of those putouts and a reason why this game has come to a close.
We'll take a break. When we come back, a quick wrap-up. You're watching the Guelph.
Thank you, sirs.
Welcome back to David E. Hastings Stadium. Guelph wins it 5-1. And
Keep pace with the
Scotty,
London.
it was a good game for Guelph. They had the pitching, they had the hitting in timely moments, and they won the game.
Yeah, and they faced some adversity and were able to battle through and get that victory and keep pace with the London Majors and Welland Jackfish at the top of the standings. And the Toronto Maple Leafs are up next on the hit list for the Royals. Toronto will travel to Hastings and face off against the Royals here, who are now 17-2 at home.
Was just about to mention that, a team that's just about impossible to beat at home. All right, Scotty Fraser, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody here on the YouTube audience who watched this game between the Guelph Royals and the Barrie Baycats. Guelph wins at 5-1 as we conclude this game. You've been watching the Guelph Royals YouTube channel. I'm Patrick Melbourne. For Scotty Fraser, for Bruce Barker on PA, for Neil Sriwastava, our statistician and producer today, I thank you for watching. Have a fantastic rest of the day and enjoy the rest of the